Good evening, everyone. I will call to order this Tuesday, June 23rd meeting of the Fairfield Plan and Zoning Commission. We'll start with our meeting minutes from June 9th. Can I please have a motion on the item?
To approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Levy moves to approve. Second. Dr. Posey seconds. Any comments?
Appear to be in order.
Make a note. I think it's important to note, we didn't hear the last two topics and one withdrew. Should those be noted or they're never noted?
I think it's customary to only include the items we do here.
I think there should have been a note in the minutes that said, due to time constraints, these last two items were not heard
But they also with one withdrew, right? But
for those two.
the Pequot withdrew.
Excuse me, would you please let my video be turned on?
But I thought it was earlier in the.
Kathy, you want to give it a go?
Not working.
You should be all set.
Jello Pequot.
You want to try one more time?
Wasn't heard.
It says it's disabled by the host.
It was withdrawn.
We have Chris substituting for John, so just give us 1 second.
In the meantime, I don't think we discussed 354 on the minutes that had been withdrawn instead of not reached last time, as I recall. On the minutes.
I wasn't sure about policy on gender.
Kathy, do you want to go ahead and try to turn your camera back on?
Okay, it's on.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. I have a question about the minutes.
Commissioner Ross.
Item, which was 354 Pequot. That was actually withdrawn, wasn't it? Instead of simply not reached last time on the June 9th.
Oh, I'm
Minutes?
sorry. Yes, that was. That was withdrawn.
So that should be corrected on the minutes.
Okay, I'll make that
Put
note.
minor correction.
Yep, I'll add that for Jody.
Okay.
Other comments before I ask Commissioner Levy to amend his motion?
Also, yeah, amend the motion to reflect the withdrawal of Pequot Jelliff application.
Thank you. Commissioner Capozzi, you're good with that?
Yes, sir.
Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve the June 9th meeting minutes with the amendment as stated, please raise your hand.
I abstain.
All those opposed, all those abstained.
Abstain.
Okay. And so the motion passes 6-0-1. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this at the start, but forgot. Just want to welcome our new alternate, Commissioner Zablak. Did I get that right? Did I pronounce that right?
Zablak.
Zablak, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Move on to 131 Beach Road, a request by 131 Beach Road LLC for a 100% release of the $192,180 bond as recommended by the engineering department. And I believe that recommendation is in the backup documents. Ms. Harrigan, anything to add on that?
No, the engineering department reviewed the project and found that the improvements required per the bond have been installed satisfactorily. So they recommend 100% release of the bond.
Ms. Harrigan, can I have a motion on the item? Commissioner Randolph?
I'll move to approve.
Commissioner Randolph moves to approve. Do I have a second? Commissioner Monahan seconds. Commissioner Randolph?
No comments.
Commissioner Monahan? Any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve the release of the bond, please raise your hand. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Move on to our compliance site plan review. 525 Tungus Hill Road, a compliance site plan review request of ESH 888 LLC to reconfigure an existing one-floor commercial space into tenant spaces and add a second floor with 2 residential units in a neighborhood design district. I believe we have the applicant here.
We do, and if I may, through you, Mr. Chair, I just want to, this is normally for a site plan review. Staff would just provide a quick summary. This is our first application that is a mixed-use project that adds residential units where a site plan review is required instead of a special permit. So I thought it was appropriate to have the applicant provide some of the project information. And if that's, I think that's probably an appropriate process, is to kind of match the process that we do, just like a special permit application, so that you can then ask questions of the applicant as well.
Thanks, Sargan. Commissioner Braun, did you have your hand up?
I'll just wait. I'll ask questions of the attorney if I have any.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the applicant wants to come up,
Yes.
or is, oh, I'm sorry. I guess remotely. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I would also like to ask if Bob Weiwei can be unmuted to allow him to speak about the application as well.
Give us one moment. Sounds good. Okay, whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you. So the application before you is for 525 Tunxus Hill Road. My name is Brian Cleveland with Brian Cleveland Architects. We're located in Monroe, Connecticut at 631 Main Street. I have with me, as I said, Bob Weiwei with Codispoti and Associates, who is the engineering firm that is doing the landscape architecture and civil engineering for the project. I'm sure many of you probably know this building, but to just start with a couple of pictures to just make sure that everybody's familiar with it. This is a picture that we took back in February when we first started looking at the project. You can see that it is a one-story building. It is currently used as a liquor store for the entire ground floor with a full basement underneath the entire building. Just to flip around to the sides, this property is located on the corner with Old Stratfield. So that's what's coming off of the right-hand side here of the property. And then as we go around the back of the building, there's an existing dumpster enclosure, utility hookups. The parking lot does go around the entire building, so you can enter from Old Stratfield onto the parking lot currently. That is how they currently also get their dumpsters in and out of the location. And the parking area is primarily on the left side of the property. If you're looking at it from the front, they currently have 16 parking spaces across the left-hand side of the building, plus, as was in the original approvals for this property, 2 parking spaces actually located here in the foreground in front of this dumpster enclosure for a total of 16 parking spaces on the property. So here you can see the overall site plan, existing site plan. There is also a sidewalk that comes up from the handicap parking space here to the covered walkway that comes across the front of the building. The face of the building is currently 13.7 feet away from the property line. And I know that's going to be maybe a point of conversation because I believe the regulations state that it needs to be within 10 feet of a property line. Obviously, moving this building isn't going to be viable, but we are making an extension of the front canopy closer to that front roadway as a way of hopefully meeting that regulation for you guys. To just quickly get into the overall plan of what we're looking at. So again, the plan is to add 2 apartments and a second floor to the building, constructing it over the existing retail space. So we're going to maintain the retail space that is there. The 2 apartments will be 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, approximately 1,200 square feet each, accessed off of the rear of the property here. We are maintaining a total of 18 parking spaces by eliminating the driveway that's currently coming in off of Old Stratfield as a throughway to get to the parking area and adding 2 parking spaces back in this location. All parking spaces are meeting the Fairfield requirements for their size. We are maintaining, though, that apron curb cut off of Old Stratfield for continued collection of the refuse from the property as well as some snow storage. We are reconfiguring the ramp that is at the front of the property in order to make it truly a handicapped accessible ramp that then brings you up to the covered walkway across the front of the building. We've also indicated that we're going to extend that ramp over towards Old Stratfield to improve pedestrian connection from this intersection, from this corner, to the retail space of the building. We're proposing a small bench be located in that general location where that sidewalk is coming to the building, as well as providing a bike rack for 2 bikes to be stored close to the face of the building near the retail area. We have presented this plan to the Connecticut DOT since this is a state route. One of the comments that they made to us was that they wanted the addition of a bus stop location here at the front of the property. So we've extended the sidewalk in this area all the way to the curb line for that purpose. I'm sure there's going to be some bus signage that also gets included in this area. You can see that noted here, this GBT sign. We are redoing the sidewalk along this entire length. It's currently asphalt. We are proposing that it be replaced with asphalt, including new apron out to the road and then continuing off to the intersecting with the existing sidewalk here on the right-hand side of the plan. I think the next sheet is our stormwater management. So do you want to take this one, Bob?
Yeah, I could pick up on that. If you could maybe just zoom in on that sheet SP2, go back sheet, Brian.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, and that's got the galleries on there. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Robert Wee-Way. I'm a licensed professional engineer and principal with the firm of Cotispodi & Associate, with offices located at 263 Boston Post Road in Orange, Connecticut. In looking at this particular plan, under existing conditions, as Brian pointed out, we do have an existing building and an existing pavement and parking lot. So that raises a little bit of a unique condition with regards to stormwater management in that the Fairfield Engineering Department has the policy of not taking into account any of the existing imperviousness on the site. So we did have conversations with the engineering department, and what they were willing to grant us for this particular application is that looking at the existing pavement area, they would allow us to take credit for that. And basically, we are providing the stormwater management for the addition, for the second floor addition, because they are considering that to be the constructible area for the project. So with that in mind, we basically looked at the proposed building footprint area and did the hydraulic calculations on that, and came up with a gallery system that's located in the upper area underneath the sidewalks. So those galleries will be providing enough storage volume to address the water quality volume in accordance with the 2024 Deep Water Quality Manual, as well as providing for the 25-year peak rate of runoff for both peak rates and volumes of runoff. So that's basically a quick overview of the stormwater management system for the project. So I guess once Brian wraps up with the rest of it, if the commission has any questions, we'll certainly try to address them.
Thanks, Bob. To move on to the, we have the typical details in here relative to the soil erosion and control measures with some typical details. I think that is from your guidelines. The landscaping plan, unfortunately, our landscape architect couldn't join us this evening. So I'm going to try to go through his plans and point out some of the things here. I believe some of the regulations in Fairfield state that for every 10 parking spaces, we're supposed to provide a shade tree within the parking areas. We do have an existing tree that is up here at the corner of the property, as well as we are proposing a new shade tree be placed here near the rear of the property in order to meet the intent of those guidelines. We would not really be able to integrate a new tree into the parking area itself because we're required to provide the 18 parking spaces, and that is how many we are showing here. So we're trying to provide those trees where we have the ability to do that without impacting the parking layout. Additionally, we are showing an extensive amount of landscaping between the covered front porch here and the new handicapped accessible ramp that leads up to here. So this area in between those two paved areas is shown to have landscaping provided there, as well as some ornamental trees, hopefully that don't get in the way of the signage for the building, and then some low planting along the street side edge of that handicap parking space. We are also showing 3 ornamental trees along the side of the building, also to hopefully enhance the overall aesthetic of that side of the building. Currently, there's no windows or anything there, and it's a very prominent elevation. So we're trying to soften it up by adding landscaping to that area, in addition to the new windows and such that we're going to have as part of the apartments that are being added to the second floor. We also have within this, we recently received the Connecticut DOT design details for this development. So we've provided those to you just recently to include in the application. To get into the overall design of the building itself, the parking is here on the bottom of the screen. Old Stratfield is across the top with Tungus Hill on the right-hand side here. We're proposing to split the retail space into 2. The liquor store will continue to utilize half of the space, and the owners are going to be establishing their own business in the other half of the ground floor of the building. So that's why we're separating these into 2 retail spaces here. We're providing access for both of those retail spaces to storage areas that are in the basement area of the building, where there's also mechanical equipment for it. Access to the apartments is going to be through new exterior entrances on the back corners of the building that lead to independent stairs that lead up to the 2 apartments. Once you get upstairs, there is a small balcony for each one of the apartments. Normal amenities that you would expect to see in an apartment: 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, laundry, full kitchen, dining, living, etc. We're taking kind of a more historical kind of look to the overall building's aesthetic, shown here for the building's front elevation. So obviously increasing the height of the building is going to give it a much nicer presence on the road for both the front elevation. It doesn't show obviously, but there's going to be a series of trees planted across the side elevation that faces Old Stratfield. So that'll soften up that elevation. And as I said, we have a series of windows for the apartment up in that area. All the utilities are going to stay off the rear of the building. So the gas meter, the electric meters are actually already there. So we're just expanding them to accommodate the 2 apartments there. As Bob was saying, relative to his stormwater system, we're taking all the roof leaders of the building and actually bringing them to the Old Stratfield side of the building so that we can integrate them into the stormwater retention system. The signage will be part of another application that the owners are going to have to come in for in order to get their signage approved, but we've provided a couple of locations for the 2 retail spaces within the front canopy that sticks out from the building. And with that, I will turn it over to the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Cleveland. Questions, Commissioner Monahan?
So the application reads differently than the explanation on our presentation. It says compliant site plan review request to reconfigure an existing first floor commercial space into tenant spaces and add second floor with residential units. So the first floor will be first floor commercial into two commercial spaces. So one commercial space into two commercial spaces and then two tenant spaces above, correct?
Correct.
When I first read this, I was looking at it as if downstairs was also potentially going to be residential. So it's two commercial and two residential upstairs.
Correct. Now, the retailer commercial spaces does not necessarily need to be made into two units. But we are setting this up so that it can be done that way by adding this recessed door here. This one on this side of the building is already there. And then, as I said, we're integrating, we're just providing a new wall in between what could be two commercial spaces.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Levy?
And with respect to the setback, do I understand you correctly? You're going to extend the front awning by what, 3 feet?
Yeah, correct. So to the face of the building currently
Mhm.
is 13.7. There already is an awning that actually sticks out across the front of the building, but I don't know that the regulations specifically state that that awning is part of the building setback or not. But certainly to the corner of our proposed canopies, we are going to be almost 5 feet closer to the property line.
Mhm.
So we're going to be somewhere around 8.5 to 9 feet away from the property line to the edge of our canopy.
And will that awning or canopy be of a permanent nature? I mean, our setback says the shortest distance between any part of the building or structure. So it would seem that it would have to be more than just a retractable awning. And to the extent that unroofed terraces do not qualify, I guess putting a roof over that area would seem to make it part of the building, which could be considered for purposes of setback. So would that canopy be structurally permanent, or would it be just sort of a canvas thing?
Yep, it is a permanent structure that is proposed to go across. You can see approximately the extent to which it extends towards the front yard.
Mhm.
So that about 4.5 feet, and it is definitely permanent in nature.
And I think I think we amended the regs since the snow in the picture, so that may. So, thank you.
Mayor Randolph?
Couple things. So the, right now you said you didn't have enough space in the parking lot for trees. I think we've got a current provision that allows if you have, low impact design, you can waive a parking space, correct?
There is a section within the parking regulations that do allow you to modify the parking in order to add a tree if
Yep.
that's what you would like to do.
Yeah, and so this is, I think our first one where you don't have you don't have minimum parking requirements. So, had you considered eliminating a parking space to accommodate that tree?
To our knowledge, we were going to need to provide the minimum number of parking spaces based on the parking tables that we saw within the regulations. So no, because of that, we assumed we had to provide all 18 parking spaces.
They don't need to,
You
right?
can modify, the commission has the ability to modify the size of 25.11.6D. You have the ability to modify the size of two of the spaces to create the inset for a shade tree if that's what you would prefer.
Yeah, that would be a request, not a condition. So, and then secondly, if you look at your Old Stratfield Road elevation.
Yep.
We're working on design standards. We don't have them passed yet, but one of the things we're trying to avoid are blank walls. And you got a big blank wall there. Is there any way you can not have a blank wall?
I mean, other than just doing it with fake trim work, which, you know, is not necessarily
Windows?
interesting. No, the retail space really does require having that wall space within it for display.
Clerestory windows?
I mean, we can certainly entertain it. Based on the fact that we do have windows on the second floor, we believed that we met the intent of that requirement, as well as the fact that we are going to be planting along that elevation.
Yeah, well, we haven't passed it yet, so you comply with the current standards, but we've got a new standard that basically tries to avoid blank walls, and this is a big blank wall, so. But I have to say, the design of this building is thoughtful. It's a positive contribution to the neighborhood. You know, there's some pretty, I don't know, utilitarian buildings around there, including the existing building. And this is it's really a thoughtful design, mixed use building, the type we really want to encourage. You know, I can tell that some really good intent has gone into it, and it's really we appreciate the thoughtfulness of this.
All right. Other questions from the commission?
I have one more question.
Commissioner Monahan?
Is there a reason why the liquor store would remain on the corner and not be on the side where the parking is? I mean, you would think leaving the liquor store, you'd want to be as close as to your car as possible with heavy bottles, boxes, et cetera. And that would maybe alleviate the flat wall if you brought the windows over to the other side. I mean, I know you have your own plans for the building. I'm just asking if you thought that, if that was important.
Yeah, so based on the understanding that the owners are going to want to have a space here for themselves, the access to the basement and to the overall basement area is from this side of the building down this side of stairs, set of stairs. I'm sorry. So having the liquor store on this side, the parking lot side of the building, is not really feasible relative to how the owners are going to divvy up the space.
Any further questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Brown.
How many bedrooms are in the 2 units and how many residential parking spaces are dedicated to each bedroom in each unit?
So we have 2 bedrooms for each of the 2 apartments, so a total of 4 bedrooms. Per the standards, we were showing 2 parking spaces. I believe it's, 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit.
Okay. And our agenda does not state which regulation this is being applied under. I'm trying to figure it out. We have the design business district revised regulations, which under those, to me, this would require, and by the way, I think your project looks quite beautiful, much better than what's there now. I'm trying to understand if we're following the right regulations. So a compliance review would not be allowed under our neighborhood design district regulations because you're doing exterior modification, right? Quite a bit of exterior modification. But then we have another regulation that allows conversion of commercial to mixed use, which would be under a compliance review, but that I believe requires the commercial to have been vacant. Perhaps either you or our planning director could explain that, just so we know what regulation we're going under here for just a compliance review as opposed to a special permit.
Go ahead, Ms. Harrigan.
No, this is a compliance review. Right now, the liquor store is not vacant, but they are adding 2 residential units. So right now, per the regulations that we adopted, mixed-use developments are by summary site plan review, and not a special permit. So
Which regulation is this going under?
this is going under the design commercial district. So, sorry, the design business district. So it's going to be under section, sorry, it's going to be under, that for you. So many folders. So it's under section 7.4.1.
So I was looking under design business district 6.2, where it says special permit uses. If you're doing exterior alterations, that requires a special permit, but if you're not, then you would do it under compliance review. But you're there, so they're not going under that, even
No,
though
I'm
this is NDP, right?
You are under section,
I was under 6.2.
it's 6.3.4. So special standards for mixed use development.
Okay,
This is our
So
first project that falls under the requirements of Public Act 25-1.
okay, and so that, again, that's not under the conversion? It says conversion.
This is not a conversion. This is a ground floor commercial building, which is becoming a mixed use building by adding 2 residential units above.
But 6.3.4 says conversion of residential to commercial. That's what 6.3.4 says. So that doesn't apply to this. I just would like, it would be really great if we could actually have which regulation they're going under applies, just so we know we're following the regulations the right way. I don't think 6.3.4 applies to this because this is not a residential to commercial conversion. This is kind of a commercial to mixed use conversion, meaning adding residential, right? And is this the first application that's come in under our new revised commercial regulations?
Yes.
Yeah, so, so it'd be helpful also, we have a new commissioner tonight, if we could all understand how we're finally using our brand new regulations we passed about 2 months ago. I don't know which one is being used.
So if you go under, if you go under the use table,
For which page or which regulation?
under item Z underneath the use table, which indicates
On the regulations.
residential uses.
What
provided-
regulation are we on?
So you're in the use table, which is 6.3. Letter Z. Residential uses provided it shall not be located on a ground floor, which then references you to a section 6.3.4. Special standards for mixed use development. So this is an existing 1-story commercial building, which is simply adding 2 residential units via a second floor above, second and third floor above. So this falls underneath the requirements for a site plan review within 65 days only.
Although 6.3.4 seems to relate to residential to commercial as opposed to the reverse, which is what this is. So I'm,
But I think what makes it a little confusing is that they're not tearing the building down and building a new building, but it's not a conversion. The
what
ground,
is a conversion? Is converting commercial into mixed use.
By an addition,
Pardon me?
by additional square footage above and a pre-existing ground floor, commercial ground floor.
Okay, so just so we could all be clear, the regulation we're going under is 6.
3.4.
Okay,
That's spelled out somewhere?
I don't see it anywhere, but. And you're looking under Z, which is page 27 of our updated zoning regs. Residential provided shall not be located on the ground floor. That's a permitted use, which does not require a special permit. But again, at the top of all of the design business district regulations, it says if you're doing exterior changes, it does require a special permit. And the reason being, there's a different type of review for a special permit versus compliance. Compliance, we don't have, this is not a public hearing, right? This is just us, the commission reviewing it and determining if we feel it complies with our regulation. It's not done at the office level, it's done by the commission, right? The way we do a coastal site plan review, not a public hearing, but we still can determine if we consider it applies. And I suppose we could put some conditions on it. Are we allowed to put conditions on it with this or no?
Only if it's permitted within the regulations.
Okay. So we just passed this regulation, this is the
Within the
first
regs.
one. I just want to understand it because I don't understand. And I like I do like the project. So perhaps when it comes up for being voted on, that could all be clarified. So we know exactly how to use our new regulations.
I'll just note, Commissioner Brown, I will just note, this is, this would be up for a vote as this evening, once we finish.
what-
discussion. Yeah,
oh.
so a compliance
That's
site
right.
plan review. Yeah, we're just having the discussion now.
Well,
But it's technically, yeah, obvious, of course, as you know, it's not a public hearing, so we would just proceed to a vote when the discussion's done.
although we don't usually do it with a coastal site plan review, we usually wait till the next time, but
Coastal site plan review, we similarly, I think we have one next. We typically just hear the staff recommendations and conditions and don't even have an application, and then would have the vote
mhm.
as soon as it's called. So this is similar. I think the only, this whole process is maybe creating a little confusion just because we wouldn't typically have the applicant coming in to present on this. It would normally be closer to a coastal site plan application where we call the item and then have someone makes a motion and we have a vote. Go ahead,
I'm
Commissioner.
not clear that this, is legal. So I just want someone to opine on that, because if we have an existing commercial building anywhere else in town, someone else can come in, split them and add 2 residential above, but not really be defined in 6.3.4. So I don't understand how we could vote on it without making sure that it is indeed legal under our existing zoning regs.
If I may, through you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, please.
Our town attorney reviewed these regulations prior to them being presented to this commission with Public Act 25-1. And some of the language was recommended by our town attorney. This is what the state law requires
Particular application.
on mixed use. So as you know, Public Act 25-1 specifically limits the commission to summary. We're going to call it site plan review because that's what we're accustomed to here in Fairfield. But we are limited to a 65-day site plan review, and we selected mixed use buildings instead of the transit middle housing option because it would have allowed transit middle housing without ground floor commercial within all of our commercial or mixed use zones, which is what the Public Act 25-1 requires. This commission, in consultation with our town attorney, developed language based on what we have had conversations about through the POCD process, through other zoning regulations, that we wanted to go with the mixed use option. This commission has stated time and time again that ground floor commercial is really important to the town of Fairfield because less than 5% of our land area is zoned commercial. So we feel very strongly that that ground floor component needs to be part of projects that are located within our commercial districts. This meets that criteria. This is a mixed use project where we can only have a summary review. So, I am confident that this meets the requirements of PA 25-1. I reviewed this language with our town attorney, and this is what the commission adopted.
I also think this is a compliance review, so ultimately it's the commission's responsibility to determine a vote if commissioners feel that this complies with our regulations.
Now, but if I may, just again, now,
The first one, I think legally someone should opine on this specific unit, although I do like the project.
so, we're in the middle of looking at our design requirements. We're in the middle of looking at other standards. What site plan review should require is understanding that your regulations provide you with the tools to ensure that you end up with a building that you find attractive for the town, that it has the criteria that you want to be applied to sites like this. So if you felt very strongly that you need that authority to be able to require, a shade tree, if you wanted to revise your requirements so that you had a shade tree every 8 parking spaces instead of 10. That's where the regulations really, the work that we're doing on the zoning regulation amendments are really meaningful, because someone like Mr. Cleveland should be able to look at our regulations and say, here's what your regulations dictate that I should design my project to look like, the height limitations, the parking needed, all of those different things. And then they should have that certainty to be able to move forward with an application design. And then conversely, the commission should feel confident that, yes, they've met all the requirements, and then you can move forward with making a decision on the application. So, I mean, I would just, as we're seeing projects like this, I would just invite the commission that if you think our regulations require some level of modification in order to be happier with some of the projects that you're seeing, this is the time to do it.
Commissioner Braun, I can't tell. I think your
Well,
hand.
Yeah, my hand's up. So, and that's exactly what we're doing now. This is a case of first impression, more or less. We haven't used our regulations yet, and this is the first one. And I'm seeing several aspects that may or may not conflict with each other. I see 6.1, which says if you have exterior renovation, it requires a special permit, but this is not a special permit application, this is a compliance application. Then I'm seeing section Z, which refers to 6.3.4, which says that relates to residential to commercial conversion, which this is not. Then we have our own commercial to residential conversion, which can only be done according to our regulations if the place has been more or less vacant or abandoned. And then we have Public Act 25, and these are just all regulations we passed. We have 25-1, which does not go into effect until July 1st in terms of as of right, summary review, commercial to mixed use conversion. That is not effective until July 1st. So we're not even talking about whether this complies. That conversion does not go into effect for another week. So I know the town attorney reviewed it, but we never had like a Q&A section to really understand the granular level, how these things work. And it seems to me like it requires a special permit. That's my thought. I don't see anything here that says it doesn't.
Commissioner Delgado.
My question's really related to the sidewalk, and I know that the applicant mentioned they're planning to use asphalt. And I was curious, I know that in the business districts, I think they're supposed to conform to the subdivision regulations, and I would think that that would mean that that should be concrete.
I can't hear you.
So I don't know, Mr. Cleveland, do you want to answer that? I think we had made that notation to them, and they were reviewing this with DOT to find out what DOT required of them, since it is a state road.
Correct, yeah. Ms. Herring, again, and I did have that conversation. Again, we did run this by Connecticut DOT. They did see this plan and didn't have any exception to it. As is shown in their details, they do have details relative to asphalt sidewalks. So that is what we are proposing currently. The sidewalk in this specific location is already asphalt as well, albeit not in very good repair.
Other questions?
I have a quick question. Last year around this time, we approved a large 8-30G project, just a couple doors down, which crosses over from Thompson's Hill Road to Soundview. I think it was 40 units, I'm not sure. It was quite large. And are we allowed to require traffic studies we are under a special permit. I don't know if we are allowed to require any look at traffic, because I'm a little bit concerned about potential for overflow parking. I don't think any parking is allowed on either Old Stratfield or Tunx's Hill Road, but if there was overflow parking from the residences that are being added, where would they park? And how would that affect any kind of traffic? Would they be parking around the corner on Soundview, for example? That's a question, I guess, yeah.
I'm going to make a unilateral decision that for a site plan review, adding 2 residential units, that a traffic study is not required.
Well, I'm not saying if it's required or not, I'm saying is it appropriate for us to request it?
It is
I know
not
on a permit, we could request whatever information we need, so we could put proper conditions of approval on it, but under a compliance review, I'm not sure. I know I've asked, under our coastal reviews to have more information from different sources, and we've gotten more information, but are we allowed to ask for that? And if we, I'm concerned a little bit about, because we got a whole lot of conversation from neighbors when that Soundview Tungus Hill project was being discussed about, cut throughs and people parking on the streets and things like that.
Commissioner, excuse me, I'm sorry. For a compliance review, it's really, our responsibility is just to determine if this meets the regulations. So if the number of parking spaces meet the requirement, according to our regulations, then can't require that they conduct an additional traffic study. I mean, unless we believe they somehow are not in compliance with our regulations.
I hate to say this, but I feel that we need to clarify our regulations before I can comfortably vote on this tonight. And I would suggest that we do that we come back perhaps even as early as next week and just clarify what our regulations mean. I still think it's a special permit application. I'd like to hear from the town attorney on what, since he reviewed all these regulations.
Other questions?
I agree with Commissioner Brooklyn.
Thank you.
Not to be difficult.
Understood. Commissioner Randolph.
Yeah, I move to approve this with the following conditions. I think the installation of a concrete sidewalk and then the additional tree in the parking lot to comply with our tree standards.
Got that, Ms. Harrigan. Commissioner Randolph moves to approve with the condition that the applicant adds a tree in the parking lot. Specifically, in the parking lot and replaces the proposed asphalt sidewalk with a concrete sidewalk. Is there a second on that? Commissioner Delgado, Commissioner Randolph.
I think this is the type of mixed use project that we've been hoping would have. This is in a neighborhood design district, which is the perfect location. We think of ourselves as a New England town, even though a lot of built here has been built in a thoughtful manner. This is a thoughtful project, and the type of project, and it's a conversion of a very utilitarian building in a part of town that has a lot of utilitarian buildings, and it will be a real enhancement to the neighborhood. So I welcome this type of conversion, and I hope to see more buildings like this, especially in the Tungus Hill area, which has a lot of opportunities to convert. I'll say overused and underappreciated buildings into something that's has higher, better use.
Thank you, Commissioner Delgado.
I would second Commissioner Randolph's comments, but I think it's a nice project. I'm excited for this redevelopment.
Thank you, Commissioner Levy.
Just like to request an amendment that the front overhang be extended to meet the setback requirement.
Commissioner Randolph, you're good with that?
Yep.
Commissioner Delgado, you're good with that? Okay. Commissioner Monahan.
So to be clear, therefore, in this district, any commercial building can be converted, converted, and residential can be added above without a special permit going forward. Is that correct? Under 6.3.4, special standards for mixed-use buildings, conversion of residential to commercial is what the regulation is. But instead, we're going from commercial to mixed use.
So I would just say, I know Commissioner Randolph used the term conversion. In this case, it is considered a development, a mixed-use development. And what 6.3.4 allows is for mixed-use developments within these three districts without a special, with a compliance site plan review. And so this is considered a development rather than a conversion, because the ground floor commercial use is remaining a ground floor commercial use. I think I got that right, Director Harrigan, not accurate?
I'm not convinced that's what our regulations state. And so I know you disagree. Because you disagree, this will pass.
Commissioner Braun?
When we do a compliance review, my understanding, special permits, one of the main reasons to have them is we're allowed to put conditions of approval. So a lot of the new housing law, which again, does not really apply here, because the conversion section does not go into effect for another week. But a lot of the new housing law says you're not allowed to do a special permit with certain types of things because that allows you to do a condition of approval. So now we're putting conditions of approval on here, according, Commissioner Randolph proposed a condition of approval. Is that even allowed under a compliance type review? I believe it's a special permit type review, which we could do conditions of approval and have much more flexibility.
The conditions of approval are permitted under compliance site plan review as long as they are grounded in the regulations and statutes. We couldn't impose discretionary ones. So if we just wanted to see extra trees there because we think it just needs more trees, and there's nothing in our regulations about that, then we couldn't require that as a condition.
So it still brings me back to my original point, which is 6.2, which is the intro to the whole section 6 that we're talking about, says a special permit shall be required for any new construction, reconstruction, exterior alterations, or addition for a use permitted in section 6.3. And so that's what we're doing. We're adding something to the top and we're doing exterior alterations. Even though it's still a permitted use, we're doing that. To me, that requires a special permit. So we have to follow our regulations. As much as I do like this project, I think it's a great improvement. I do feel we should have got a little more information about where cars are going to park if they can't fit in the parking lot. But it's a nice project, but I think it does require a special permit. So I cannot support it the way it's been applied for. I don't think it complies with our regulations.
Thank you, Commissioner. You're about to raise your hand.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Commissioner Posey.
My read of the regulations is consistent with Director Harrigan's in that there is an addition of residential above the existing commercial. So there is no alteration to the existing structure. There is an addition of residential, but there's no change in the status of the first floor, ground floor, which remains a commercial building that is zoned in, that is in a commercial zone, and there is no alteration to the square footage of the existing ground floor.
Well, they're adding a whole second floor.
Right, but in terms of the existing structure and how it's zoned, there is no alteration there. They're adding a residential above, but it has no impact on the net commercial space that is currently afforded in that building.
Well, that's not what the regulation says. The regulation says exterior alterations. So
Mr.
I'm sorry.
It really, so it wouldn't have mattered whether this was a ground floor, brand new building that was ground floor commercial and residential up above. Public Act 25-1 allowed us to make a choice. So if they wanted to tear down this building and this commission had chosen transit middle housing as the pathway that they wanted to take with 2 to 9 units of development, that would have been a summary review project in our commercial districts. The commission instead chose the mixed-use alternative that then also requires that a mixed-use building within our commercial districts be approved by site plan, summary review. This is the correct pathway for this application. This is the application process mandated by state statute. And the commission has already adopted the regulations that allow for this process.
We don't have to follow the state statute yet. It doesn't come into effect until July 1st. So that's one thing. Okay, we jumped the gun when we passed this regulation. We didn't have to pass this regulation several months ago. We could have said it will become effective when the state statute, that's what's very confusing about this. The state statute is not in effect for conversions or for mixed use or middle housing or anything else. So we passed a regulation. I'm trying to understand our regulation. Our regulation requires a special permit if there's exterior alterations. We don't have to follow the state law until it's become effective, and it does not become effective for another week. So we have a regulation here which says exterior alterations or additions require a special permit. That's all I can say. I think it doesn't follow our regulations. If this had been applied for in a week, the state law always supersedes our own regulations, regardless of what a regulation says. So if this had been applied for a week later, we'd have to follow the state law.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments? Commissioner Randolph?
Oh, just to, through the chair, Commissioner Harrigan, I'm sorry, Director Harrigan. I just want to clarify. So there was a question raised about the conditions. I think the Commissioner Levy's addition for the overhang that brought us in compliance with the setback. The tree addition brought us in compliance with the existing tree ordinance. And so we're waiving a parking space for that. And our read of the requirement for the concrete brings us in alignment with our existing ordinance. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we weren't asking for conditions that were beyond our regulation. So I just want to confirm that. Thank you.
And that was Commissioner Delgado seconded?
Yes.
So you're good with that too? Okay. Okay. Any final comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve the application with the conditions as previously stated, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Abstaining?
Abstaining,
Okay.
because I don't believe that this can be passed today.
Okay.
Should
I
be-
think I'll switch mine to abstain also. That makes more sense. Thank you, Commissioner Monahan.
Thank you, commissioners. So the motion passes 5-0 with 2 abstentions. Thank you all. Next is a coastal site plan application for 101 Forest Avenue, an application of 194 East Lawn Street LLC for a coastal site plan review to construct a FEMA compliant duplex in a residence B district. And Ms. Harrigan, I think you're going to read the
Yes.
staff conditions and Mr. Mullins' absence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So review of the application, both by Assistant Director Mullen and the Connecticut DEP, found that provided that the conditions are followed, the proposal is consistent with both the Connecticut Coastal Management Act and the FEMA requirements and will not adversely impact coastal resources. However, the staff recommends the following conditions of approval for the proposed project at 101 Forest Avenue. Number 1, soil erosion and sedimentation control shall be installed and maintained during the entirety of the construction project at the subject site. 2, the applicant shall provide drainage capacity for runoff generated by the 2 new patios. And 3, the applicant shall adhere to all conditions listed in the State of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection Letter dated June 11th, 2026.
Thank you, Ms. Harrigan. Can I have a motion on the item, please? And I'll just remind Commissioner, whichever commissioner is making a motion, that the motion should be to, if you choose to move to approve, to do so and adopt the findings as articulated by staff. Commissioner Braun.
Move to approve with the conditions set forth in the staff recommendation, which themselves relate to the DEP letter dated May
And to adopt the findings.
June 11th. Yeah, to adopt the findings. Yeah.
Commissioner Braun moves to approve with staff recommendations and to adopt the findings as articulated by staff. Do I have a second? Commissioner Capozzi seconds. Commissioner Braun?
I just wanted to point out that I do like to see if we could ask our conservation department to weigh in, because they do, I know they don't have regulatory authority, but they do marsh restoration. Do we know if this is near any marsh restoration area? It is within 100 feet of a tidal wetland, Forest Avenue, but it is several streets away, and it is adding to impervious surface. But do we have, do we know if this is near where they're doing any marsh restoration?
No, this is, they do have a small tidally influenced wetland system that's proximate to the property. Because this is a reconstruction, it's not an exempt project anymore. So even if it doesn't have those tidal resources, it's within the Coastal Management Act. So, I mean, it's not an exemptable activity because it's in the CAM mapped area. So as you know, all single family homes have to be reviewed by the commission for a coastal site plan, even if it's not directly proximate to a tidal resource.
What were you saying about exempt? What would be exempt?
So there's a list of items in the Connecticut general statutes relative to coastal site plan reviews, where there are certain activities that are exempt, that meet exemption criteria. In the state law that was passed in not this past legislative session, but the session before, they eliminated the exemption for new single family homes within the coastal mapped area.
Thank you. So I will support this then, because it's not, it's within 100 feet of a tidal wetland, but it doesn't appear to be in the tidal wetland restoration area. If it was, I would want to hear from our conservation department, which, even though they don't have regulatory control over this because it's in the coastal area, and they have regulatory control over inland wetlands, which are freshwater. Nevertheless, if they were working on tidal wetlands restoration or marsh restoration right here in the ones that are within 100 feet, I would have asked for more information from them, but it's not apparently in that area, so that's fine. So long as we follow the DEP conditions, I will vote in favor of this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Capozzi?
Nothing further.
Any other comments? Commissioner Levy?
Yeah, as part of the, coastal management concerns that we've addressed in the past is density of, population in the this floodplain area. I'm just wondering, that part of the plans shows, I believe, 3 bedrooms in each unit, but then there's a study which does have doors that can be closed on the main floor. I think consistent with the desire to, mitigate the impact of increased density in the area, that we impose a condition as well that the study not be used as a bedroom. How we'd enforce it, I'm not sure, but that should be, it might be an appropriate condition consistent with the Coastal Management Act.
Commissioner Braun, thoughts?
Yeah, I don't, how many more bedrooms are being added again?
It's going from a 2-bedroom for each unit to a 3-bedroom plus a study for each unit.
So what, 2 extra bedrooms? Yeah,
Well, 1 bedroom and a potential home office, or it doesn't have a closet within it.
so if it's not a closet, I mean, it could be used, obviously, people do it all the time, but it's an order of magnitude less than what we approved on Reef Road, which we never, in my opinion, should have approved, even though that was 830G. This is kind of de minimis. I just don't see it as adding population density, a couple more bedrooms, so.
Commissioner Monahan?
I think it can only be considered a bedroom if there's a full bath on the first floor. So I can't see, does the plan include a full bath on the first floor?
I don't know. I don't have that open.
These are small, like these look on paper like they're large, but these townhouses are fairly small. There's a limited amount of living space, but I do agree with you. If it was larger, I would agree with you on that point. I just think that living space in these units can be fairly small, especially if there's 3 bedrooms upstairs for an area for people to congregate. They need that for a home office, especially since you don't have a lower level.
Oh, I don't have any problem with, if I may, Mr. Chairman, but yeah, I'm not addressing it. It's fine to use it as a home office. My concern is that it be converted into a bedroom. and that should not be allowed.
Again, it can only be a bedroom if there's a full bath on the first floor. Adjacent or nearby.
Don't see any bathroom on the first floor.
Is a half bath.
Oh, there it is. I see.
One thing I would just make an observation. A couple years ago, when the DEP used to write letters, they used to say, we suggest you think carefully before you allow anything down here, but those are mostly duplexes. This is not a duplex. You should have a condition where they cannot add a revetment or a seawall onto their property. I don't see that as being applicable here because it's again several streets away. And it wouldn't really affect the natural resource. But if it was close to the natural resource, that might be a condition I would put on it. But I don't see the DEP putting that in their letters anymore, although they did come back and start writing letters again based on the new law that was passed. So that's for a future consideration, perhaps, if something is closer to the wetland.
Commissioner Randolph? I'm having a hard time reading this site plan here. It's land survey, Forest Avenue 101 site plan revised. Yeah, I'll just ask my question. I know Mr. Mullins not here, but you guys are familiar with this.
We're just pulling it up. That have everything on there? Okay, do we have the survey? Is that part of this? Maybe on the other sheet.
Director Horgan, it's a different file.
Okay, so if we go back,
Forest Avenue 101 site plan revised PDF.
we'll just go to. Go to home.
No, it's not the architectural, it's a separate one.
Just press OK. Okay, just go to the site plan revised. Okay,
Second one there.
that one, not the,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, so scroll down. So, if you keep going to the bottom, so, yeah, it looks like this whole area in the front, the bib is all impervious.
Yes.
Does that meet our standards?
It's not the beach district, so only in the beach district do we not allow for impervious driveways. In other areas of town, they can provide an impervious driveway. They just have to provide stormwater detention for it.
So the trench drain accommodates that?
Well, they do the calculation based on all the impervious coverage for the site, and then the trench drain probably connects that based on the drainage flow and then sends it back to the system.
Yeah, so that curb cut is gonna be 40 feet? 30, I see 36 dimensions, so the curb cut's 40 feet?
Generally for duplexes, yes, they end up having to provide independent access for each side.
Even though it's a single parcel?
Yes.
We've got no regs that prevent a 40-foot curb cut
Not for single family residential parcels.
on the to-do list, right? Okay. Yeah, because that curb cut is very, got some real, it's just not good. And so I don't see a sidewalk on here either.
That's at the discretion of the engineering department prior to issuance of a building permit. As to whether or not, based on this street, whether they require a sidewalk for the single family residential neighborhood. I do think that, as we get closer to working on the complete street manual for the town, that will be something that we'll have to incorporate into the regulations if we're going to require that for every redevelopment of a single family parcel.
And we don't yet have a payment in lieu of schedule for the waiving of a sidewalk requirement.
We
do
do not yet.
Another thing on the to-do
It's
list.
within the architectural
Right.
standards review.
And this is a dead end.
Excuse me?
This is a dead end street, forest.
Yeah, but my
Sidewalk.
question is, we don't have enough sidewalks in town. Sidewalks are required. Payment in lieu of for them not putting aside, for us waiving the sidewalk would be something this commission should consider adding. It's something we've been discussing for a while, and I was just looking at the drawings, confirming there's no sidewalk.
And these are very, very narrow, small lots, so to add a sidewalk in the front is taking a significant part of these front yards.
Through the chair, but my concern is that we don't have a mechanism.
Well, but this is, it's not,
Yeah.
I think I
Sure, go
understand
ahead.
both of your
Yep.
points. This is really not super germane to this since
Yep.
it's not in the regulations, which is what you're getting at.
Yep.
So let's, we can have this conversation in potentially considering another
Yep.
regulation to address that. But Commissioner Monahan's right, like, there's nothing to do with the current situation. I think there's no sidewalk for a reason, and we don't have a regulation currently to give us some mechanism to address it offsite. Other comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve with staff conditions and to adopt the findings as articulated by staff, please raise your hand. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Next, we'll go to our public hearings, beginning with 1073 North Benson Road, a special exception application request of Fairfield University for a new campus building, innovation hall for science and engineering studies in a residence R3 zone. Good evening, Attorney Fallon.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Good evening to you, members of the public. For the record, my name is John Fallon. I'm here representing Fairfield University, and we're very proud to bring before you this evening. Our proposal involves the new innovation hall. I described that in some detail in our statement of use, but I'll briefly summarize it. First, as you'll see tonight in our presentation, we're located in the heart of the university's academic corridor. We're not visible from outside the campus. And what we're seeking to do here is to address the growing needs for sophistication in what they call STEM education. What is STEM education? I had to learn that myself. STEM education is interdisciplinary approach to learning, integrating science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And that's STEM education. In addition, you'll see that our current needs of the School of Engineering are in need of additional space. The reasons for that are clearly that current engineering trends call for increased space per student and an increased amount for equipment storage. The Innovation Hall is designed to address those specific needs of our School of Engineering, which is presently housed at the Banau Science Center. The new building will also be a home for academic centers of excellence, such as the Center for Coastal Climate. And these centers are gathering locations, if you will, for existing students and faculty to collaborate on pressing social needs as highlighted by public research and accomplishments of the faculty and students. So what this really is Fairfield University's reputation has grown astoundingly over the last few decades. And I think this commission, without pandering, it deserves a great deal of that credit for that because of your sharing in our vision and allowing us to establish such a preeminent institution of higher learning. This is another example of where we are seeking to continue to adapt to academic needs and the needs of our existing students and faculty. And I emphasize that because this is a program and a building that will serve the needs of our existing staff and students, and is not designed, nor will it in any way increase enrollment. What it will do is it will enhance our current student experience as opposed to any enrollment golf. It will capitalize on existing infrastructure for parking, dining, and all other student support services. And there won't be any increase associated here with traffic whatsoever. So what we're like to do this evening, by the way, with me tonight is Mr. David Frasinelli, who is our Vice President for Facilities, Campus, and Auxiliary Services. And a number of consultants have worked very hard on this proposal and who I will introduce to you shortly. And I'll start with Greg Tizzolo of Stimson Studio, who will review with you based on the plans you have, the existing conditions and the proposed site plan. Greg.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Gregory Tizzolo, landscape architect with Stimson Landscape Architects. Thank you for having us. Just like to give you a quick orientation to the project as it sits in the campus. You can see the building in the sort of S-shaped arrangement, sitting right in the middle. But I think maybe what we'll first do, if we could skip ahead to a slide. That's right. Thank you. This slide shows an existing survey of the site as it sits today. The site is covered in a fair amount of trees at the campus chapel to the left, the campus center to the north, and the Banau Science Center to the right. The site has approximately 23 feet of grade change, the high point on the north side of the page, sloping down to the lower right. You can see the contours there. There's a fair amount of ledge on the site. And as I mentioned, a number of existing trees. Campus circulation currently sort of wraps around the space that the building is intended to occupy. And essentially, we're really looking to kind of, from a landscape perspective, to try to preserve, enhance, and reestablish linkages that are perhaps broken with the establishment of the building. We performed an arborist survey of the site in question. If you could go to the next slide, please. Performed a tree inventory, did an analysis of 94 trees on site. A number of them will be removed for the project. I'll talk a little bit later about the trees that we're proposing to go in their place, but it is the case that a number of these trees will be removed. And, you know, amongst the trees on the site, predominantly oaks, red and white oaks, but there are some non-native Norway maples and black cherry. Those are native, but not desirable. So we can talk a little bit more about trees in a moment. Just I think for now, you should just know that a number of removals will be required for the project, and we're taking those considerations very carefully. On the perimeter of the project, you can see in the dash line, that's our approximate limit of work, limit of disturbance for grading. There may be some additional disturbances outside for things like stormwater management, et cetera, but essentially for the regrading of the project, everything is happening inside the dash line. And I think you can see on the south a number of trees that are kind of peripheral to the limit of work that we're taking measures to protect through tree protection during the construction process. Next slide, please. So this plan here is just simply a plan showing the ground plane materials. There's no trees shown on this drawing, but essentially what you'll see is a series of reestablished campus pathways. On the south side of the building, between the chapel and the new building, is essentially a recreation of an existing pathway. This pathway has stairs in it. It is not ADA accessible, but it's sort of a minor route in terms of campus circulation. The main, well, let me see. I guess maybe I'll orient you to the doors first. So here, maybe I can point. In the upper left, we have a door up on that. If you could go just a little bit to the left, there's a door there. That's up on the level 3. And then if you look right to the upper right of where the arrow is, there's additional doors right opposite the campus center, down 1 level. So that's at, I believe, level 2. And then along the right side of the building, you see that long S curving path. That is a pathway that's been elongated to allow for ADA compliance. So it's essentially, we're creating accessibility throughout the project site. Doesn't really exist today. That's an overall improvement that the project brings to the site by creating this ADA accessibility route through campus. And then if you follow that curve all the way down to the lower right, yep, right in there, there's an additional entrance down at level 1. So we have entrances at 3, 2, and 1. Like I said, 23-ish feet of grade change from the upper left to the lower right. So that's another entrance down in the lower right area that brings you into that level 1 area by a sort of performance and gathering space in the lower, the southern part of the building that the architects will speak of. And in the lower right of the building, we're doing a lot of work to kind of re-stitch together a lot of the campus pathways and circulation, trying to simplify things as much as possible. But one thing that I will note in this area is that we've created a 24-foot wide fire lane, which is a combination of concrete, unit pavers, and reinforced turf to allow, my understanding is that we've spoken to the fire department about this, and this meets their requirements to allow the truck to get about 50% up the east side of the building and access the areas that they need to for fire protection. So that's kind of explains sort of what that pathway system is doing. We are really working as hard as we can to try to minimize pavement and minimize impervious. We'll talk a little bit about stormwater in a moment. But other than that, we've provided some other more, larger areas of pavement, I'd say, at doorways where we anticipate gathering, where we, for example, in the lower area, there might be spill out from events and things like that, gathering outside of events. And again, in the north, really trying to make a strong link between the new building and the existing campus center, and everywhere else, we're really just trying to stitch together circulation. Next slide, please. So on this sheet, you'll see in the submission, there are two plans that talk about planting. This is one of them that really just talks about the tree canopy. So I mentioned 94 trees were surveyed. We're able to protect 11 of those trees. So that means 83 coming out, and we have 47 going back in per this plan. And so we really tried to plant as many as we could, and we felt that this was appropriate, an appropriate number of trees to revegetate the site and not overcrowd the site going into the future. So, we're replanting with native species, with great longevity, an investment for the campus for the long term. I believe that's the last slide that I'm going to speak to, and there will be. Could you just slide down one more slide? I think that's right. I guess maybe some.
Brian?
I'm all set. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Greg will obviously be here to answer any questions that you might have. I call on Brian Phillips of Langen Engineering. I think you know Brian well from his representation of the university on numerous of our other proposals. And Brian's going to give you an overview of the proposed site engineering and drainage.
Thank you, Attorney Fallon. Yes, I'm Brian Phillips, a professional engineer with Langen Engineering. We're at 555 Long Wharf Drive in New Haven. I think if we pull back a slide, I could talk a little bit about the stormwater. I will say out of the approximately 210 acres of campus, this site is pretty much in the direct center. And the existing hydrology of the site is fairly straightforward. The majority of the site flows from northwest. So, north is up on the page. So the top left of the page, down the hill towards the bottom right or the southeast. And that water is collected in a series of yard drains and catch basins into the campus stormwater network. So it's all directed into a traditional network of catch basins and pipes. And then it is piped between the library and I believe is that Bannock just to the north of it. It is piped underground before being discharged into a series of stormwater detention ponds, which sort of flow through the site, eventually down towards Barlow and North Benson Road, approximately 2,000 feet away from the site. So we're very central here to campus. As Greg mentioned, there are some trees being removed. So all of that has been accounted for in our stormwater analysis, where we look at the existing conditions and then the proposed conditions and design a stormwater system that can attenuate peak flows to both the standards of the Connecticut DEEP, the 2024 Stormwater Quality Manual, as well as Town of Fairfield Engineering. So in this case, we are proposing sort of a traditional underground detention system. It is, I believe the product that we've shown is sort of a concrete box type system, similar to a leaching gallery that you'd see in a septic system. And the point of it is to capture the runoff from the roof areas and the surrounding landscape within this watershed temporarily store that water, allow it time to infiltrate or percolate into the soil before ultimately being directed to that same pipe system, which then falls down the series of ponds that I discussed earlier. There will be stormwater quality improvements as well, including a hydrodynamic separator to try to trap solids and sediment. And actually, in this case, the water is coming into the system fairly treated. We're talking about roof areas and landscaped areas and pedestrian pathways. So there's really no vehicular areas, traditionally what you would want to capture and treat within the project. In addition to those stormwater, and I will just add that we are meeting those peak flow reduction requirements, which include a 50% reduction from the existing 2-year storm to the proposed 2-year storm. So, during those peak flows, we're letting out 50% less water than existing conditions. We're also bringing our post-development 10-year storm peak flow down to below the 2-year pre-development, which is sort of an additional requirement of Fairfield Engineering. The last point I'll make is that we do have a plan as well in the set for our soil erosion and sediment controls. There are some wetland systems on the site, well downstream of our site and outside of any of those upland review areas. But, notwithstanding, we are providing a double barrier of silt fence and silt sock for added protection throughout construction from a soil erosion and sediment control standpoint. So that's the overview of the engineering and erosion controls, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can you just give us an update when there was the application? I know we're dealing with one application at a time, but some of this impacts each other. So there's the application for the turf field, and we had heard at the time from neighbors on Barlow Road about the flooding. My recollection was that they were experiencing some fairly significant flooding, but there had recently been some improvements made that were meant to address it. But given the timing of that application, I don't know, we didn't end up hearing if that successfully resolved those issues. So has there been continued dialogue with the neighbors along Barlow about the flooding situation? Has that improved?
So I'll first say that the stormwater from this site does not flow towards the area that you're discussing. So none of the stormwater from this site goes down to that town stormwater network. It all flows to the southeast. As far as follow-up with the neighbors, I'm not aware of.
We had soon after the approval that you're referring to, Mr. Chairman, we had meetings with the neighbors who are represented by Joel Green. We had a meeting out on the site on a day much like this, which I remember well, kind of rainy. But the town engineering department participated as well. There was a sort of, I think, consensus that a lot of what the neighbors had experienced on these isolated occasions of very historic severe rains had a lot to do with the town's drainage system. And the engineering department was cooperative in terms of reviewing records and so on. That meeting was probably, Mr. Fasanelli, a year and a half ago.
Yep.
And all's been quiet. There's been no further incidences of flooding. I think the town and Mr. Hurley and his staff have worked to address in terms of improvements with catch basins and whatnot. So I think the meeting was productive. I think the dialogue that occurred at the zoning meeting ultimately was productive. And we will continue to, monitor that situation, and to the extent anything else would ever need to be done, as is our habit with all of our neighbors, we'll want to be constructive. But I think right now that situation is well stabilized.
And so you're saying essentially the water, by the time it gets that far down south, it's already.
Well, it's actually two different watersheds. So the Barlow Field watershed flows towards Round Hill and then is collected into the town system and flows south in the town stormwater network on Round Hill Road. This area flows to the east towards North Benson. So, yeah.
Thank you. And I'm sorry.
Hang on, Commissioner Braun had her hand up. You're on mute, Commissioner Braun.
Excuse me if I missed this, because I was trying to look up an aerial. It's always good to see an aerial view to sort of see where it's laid out, but is any parking being provided? And if so, where is it? I couldn't find it on any of the plans.
No, we're not, as I said in my opening remarks,
Yeah.
we're relying on the fact that, you know, it's, we're not going to increase population. We're not based upon the specified use.
So for events and things like that, they'll park where at the Dolan School or one of the other.
We are well able to accommodate on-campus events in all of our facilities, whether it's smaller gatherings in the School of Nursing or the library, et cetera. And so we've not had or experienced a parking issue in years, and therefore we're very comfortable that we have more than adequate parking on site. And I think we do basically, I'll give you the exact number of parking spaces. And the other thing we don't want to do in this era of environmental consciousness, we don't want to overpark the campus. And so we obviously closely monitor parking demand. And as I said, it's worked very well for us over the last decade. So we're comfortable that there's no need for any additional parking associated with this facility.
So my other question has to do with.
3,319 parking spaces. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
I'm sorry, you do have 19, you said, or?
3,319 spaces on site.
Wow. So my other question has to do with trees. I'm looking at an aerial. This whole project looks like it's between two pedestrian walkways, between the School of Nursing, Engineering, Campus Center, and the chapel. Is the whole project more or less between those two pathways that look, they're not roads, they look like pathways, pedestrian walkways?
Yeah, I think that's an accurate assessment. Yes.
Because they're saying that right now, this area is already 25% impervious surface. It just doesn't look that way. It looks like it's all trees. It looks like it's a very densely forested part. And so now it's going to go up to 50% impervious surface. Honestly, it looks like there's almost no impervious surface unless they're counting those walkways. But I'm concerned as well about water, not just water quantity, but water quality. If he could address the loss of the trees to the hydrology. Also, I know, so this does not flow in the direction of where the houses are that were at the bottom of the turf fields. That's good, but where does it flow? Are there any wetlands nearby? Did it need a wetlands permit? And also, can you show us where the infiltrator tests were done in relation to are you doing infiltrator galleries? And
this is like a multi-part law school
yes,
question.
question. I figured you can handle it once.
Let's see if we can get them all. The one thing I will tell you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brian, is if you review the code review minutes of May 5, 2026, you'll see their statement by Mr. Bishop that no wetlands permitting was required for the project. So that's in his comments at page 2 of the code minutes. And Brian.
Are they in the package? I don't see them in the package, the code review.
I will add them in if they are not in there. My
Yeah,
apologies.
that'd be great. And also the engineering comment, you said engineering had reviewed this. I don't either. If that could be added, that'd be great.
And they are also commented, and engineering's comments are in the code notes as well.
But that would be before it was applied for, right? Usually don't they give comments after when they see the final application?
I can't speak to that. Sometimes
Okay.
sometimes they don't. In my experience, they generally don't unless they have concerns.
Okay.
Brian.
Sure. Yeah, so I can hopefully speak to all those questions. The 25% impervious does include there are quite a few impervious sidewalks, concrete sidewalks throughout the site. So when we look at existing proposed, we draw a watershed boundary around the project limits and then, calculate our impervious pervious from there. So it is essentially just the walkways, of which there are many throughout the site. We are, as noted, going from approximately 25% impervious to about just under, I believe it's right around 50% impervious. And the existing land covers are included in the stormwater analysis. So when we look at existing and proposed, the existing, every land classification, whether it's impervious or woods or lawn, every one of those classifications has what's called curve number. And that number is based on, you know, the higher the number, the more impervious. So woods has a relatively low number versus grass. All of that is taken into account. So we look at the existing woods, and if this area was just all lawn, we would not have to provide as much detention as we are providing here. And I think, I'm not sure if it's the previous page, but at the first,
Yeah, your
the
sheet.
first page, please.
After the title.
Shows the grading and drainage plan. So the proposed infiltration system is at the bottom right of this page. So it is located at the, you know, lowest elevation point of the site, allowing everything to flow by gravity. Everything will be collected into the system, given an opportunity to infiltrate into the ground and promote infiltration and recharge of the groundwater table prior to being discharged through a weir structure, you know, to allow the water to be held back. And then during larger storm events, it flows over the weir and is directed down towards the campus stormwater network. We did perform some borings and test pits on site. So, you know, we were able to get a profile of the soils, and we will do additional testing for construction as required by Fairfield Engineering to reconfirm that analysis.
Did you do they call it the double ring infiltrator tests in the area where the infiltrator galleries will be?
We have not done a percolation test or borehole infiltration test yet. This area is a heavily trafficked, you know, very central point of campus. So, you know, we're trying to be mindful of when we do this testing and start poking holes in the ground. But we did do boring, so we have a good understanding of the soil conditions in this area. And I'll note that our analysis takes into account a very low infiltration rate. So anything that we realize that's higher, and traditionally on campus, we've done infiltration tests all over campus. And we've seen rates of 5 inches per hour or greater. So in this analysis, I believe we used only about 1 inch per hour in the analysis. So even if we had more, it could cause the system to get smaller. We're not proposing that here, but that's what that essentially translates to.
So I see usually we get all this to us before we approve it, so we understand.
That is all due respect, because we get into this in a lot of applications.
Okay,
That is not true. What you get is you get the level of information that you have now, which you should have, in terms of those details that Mr. Phillips just referred to as far as perk testing and so on. That's why you have an engineering department. That's why the engineering department will supervise all of this before they issue a building permit. And that's been the normal division of labor, if you will, since I've been around here for 40 years. Because you don't want the applicant, nor does the commission want to be burdened with the level of detail that, you know, that's why you have the engineering department. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
we've had many
I think it's
public
an
hearings
important
when
premise.
yeah, we've had many public hearings when we've had that level of detail. In fact, I was going to ask a question. Do you know what is the depth of groundwater where the infiltrator system is, and what is the vertical distance between the bottom of the infiltrator galleries and the groundwater? Is there a 3 foot? I've heard different versions of what should be the vertical distance between the bottom of the infiltrator galleries and the level of groundwater. And so that's the concern I have because of the flooding issues in the area and the loss of all the trees, a lot of trees.
Again, I don't mean to be argumentative, but since we have a record here, I don't believe there are flooding issues in the area. I believe that the chair's question was relative to the North Benson Road situation, which I think I addressed. And Mr. Phillips' testimony is that this watershed flows out to North Benson Road. So I don't think there's a flooding problem
So
associated.
this gets picked up in the storm sewers on North Benson Road?
Well, and he can comment on that if you like.
Correct,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you could answer both my questions, that'd be great.
This has nothing, this watershed has no connection whatsoever to the Benson Road, the Benson Barlow Field, or I'm sorry, the Barlow Field, North Round Hill Road, Barlow Road intersection that we've spoken about previously. The water from this watershed flows in the opposite direction to a completely separate watershed. I'm not aware of any flooding issues. We've actually reached out to the town regarding any existence of flooding issues along North Benson Road. In connection with our traffic post application, and deep nor the town is aware of any known flooding issues along North Benson Road.
So this is Round Hill Road then, this is closer to Round Hill Road than North Benson Road, right?
No, no, it's generally in almost the geographic center of the campus, but in terms of the flows and the watersheds, this particular site is linked to North Benson Road from a drainage standpoint.
Correct. Yeah, all of the water from this site flows through a series of on-campus stormwater detention ponds and other wetland areas. And about 2,000 feet from this project site is where it finally enters the town stormwater network approximately at the intersection of Barlow Road and North Benson Road.
And
Wait, hang on, let me get to Commissioner Randolph. I'll come back.
Sure, that's fine.
Questions through the chair. Mr. Fallon, do you have other presenters? Because I was waiting for you to finish your presentation before I ask questions.
I have the architect, Mr. Labby, as soon as you're.
Yeah, so can we get through the presentation and then ask our questions at the end? So we get you through your presentation? Is that?
That's fine.
Is that? We agree to that? Sure.
Yeah, that's, if folks have pressing questions relative to the person who's presenting, we can jump in if it's easier to do it then. But yeah, if we have substantial questions.
Because I've got I'll hold my questions at the end then. So I'll let you present. So.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, that's a good introduction for Mr. Labby.
Seat over here.
John Labby is our architect from Centerbrook Architects. He and his team have worked very, very obviously hard on this matter. And he's here to give you the overview of the architectural design and answer any questions you might have.
Absolutely. For the record, my name is John Levy. I'm with Centerbrook Architects. As you'll see, we have a very innovative building with the curved shape. I will briefly walk you through the floor plans and then show you the elevations, and then we'll end on the height calculations, which I believe we meet the zoning regs. So the lower level of the building, which Greg alluded to on your left-hand side, because I'm looking at this one over here, is a 350-seat exhibit hall. And as you work your way to the right, there's mechanical labs, offices, a drone lab, bathrooms, and then other labs associated with the program. And then we have a mechanical area to the far right. And what we're proposing right now is a tunnel that ties into Barone for utility services, trash removal, so on and so forth. So you'll find that there on each floor, on the upper level is primarily the labs, and on the lower side of the curve are offices. We can go to the next level. We do have a little mezzanine area as we come up the stairs. So you primarily enter the exhibit hall is to your left. As you work your way to the right, there are offices on the right-hand side, labs associated with each of the programs, and the centers and classrooms are located on the left side or the west side of the building. And you can see as we start to come up, there's an elevator on the right-hand side, and you can start to see that we have a stair. And that's where Greg alluded to. There's a lot of different ways to enter into the building. And this would be if you consider the one on the left, the first, this is the second one on the right. And as we go up another level, next slide, please, you'll see that you start to see this curved sloping roof of vegetated roof with solar panels. And again, because of the shape of the building that we'll look at on the elevation side, again, this is computer labs, senior design studios on your left, and on the right are more offices. And you get to the end, there's an end stair on the north side, and then there's another entrance on the very top. So these are all offices related to either mathematics or to the engineering building. We can go up the next level. Again, you come up, and as we're coming up the roof, we're looking on the elevation where you start to see the floor plan is a graduate lounge, bathrooms, centers, 2 wet labs, and then the dean suite on the upper left-hand side. So that kind of marches you up to the building, all engineering related programs, offices, classrooms and centers. If we go to the roof plan, which will be the next slide, you'll start to see that we have a green roof with solar panels. The roof is not only curving as an S, but it's also curving as it goes up. You'll see that there's a little dormer, a little area for the graduate lounge. And then at the far right is the mechanical service yard for the air handling units. Next slide, please. You start to see the shape of the building is defined by these very vertical columns, both alternating between glass and either metal or glass. You'll start to see how that roof swoops, but it not only swoops as it goes up, it's also trying to bend itself around through the S curve. So it's kind of complicated. We're working on modeling it, but it definitely gives that innovative feel to the building within the heart of the campus. If you scroll down a little bit, there we go. You'll start to see the north is on the right-hand side. As this roof starts to slow down, you have a dormer for the graduate lounge, and then it comes down, and at the very end, that's the exhibit hall. Next one, please. So now you kind of get an overall shape. This is a view of the west side. You'll start to understand how that slope works. And at the bottom too, we have the renderings of the building, give you a sense of flavor with the materials noted of what the building will look like integrated within the campus, the heart of campus. And then the next slide, I believe, just takes you to showing how the building complies with the regulations for height.
Thank you, John. John, I think there may be questions.
Is your last one?
He's our last presenter. And I'll have a very short summary, but
I'll work backwards then. So, the issue that neighbors have, or besides stormwater, is lights, and visibility. Have you done any visibility studies to see whether this is, visible to the neighbors, whether this is going to cast, a lot of lights? Because it's, school buildings are usually illuminated at night.
yeah, if you, based upon where,
Let me ask another light question, then.
Yeah.
And then also, are we dark sky compliant?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
You'll
just,
see that if you have the full submission, you'll see that there are photometrics in there and all the fixtures are dark sky compliant. And I can't remember the exact verbiage as to what it is, but it is noted on the photometric plan.
that was all I was going to say. We did submit, notwithstanding the location of the site in the photometrics plan. And so that is part of your record. But as a practical matter, as you're familiar with the campus, as I know you are, and where this is being located in proximity to the Barone Campus Center.
That's correct.
And the library is another point of reference. It really does not have any visibility off of campus.
It's no higher than those buildings.
I don't think we get the photometrics, but actually, oh yes, I see here.
It is there.
Different format than we usually see. So working backwards on the questions. Stormwater, Commissioner Crisilo asked about this. We have to ask about it every time. So I guess as a condition of approval, we'll make sure that there's no excessive rainwater discharge into the town stormwater system.
Yeah, the way that this has been designed, we are reducing our peak flows rather significantly on the order of magnitude of, 30, 40, sometimes even 50% from existing to proposed conditions for all storms up to and including the 100-year storm event.
Reducing it.
Reducing.
Okay, fantastic. I won't get into the details of asking how you're doing it, but that's
We're required on every project.
great.
Yep.
Okay, so trees. It looks like you're eliminating one of the most densely forested part of the campus. Fairfield's tree canopy is getting chipped away every day, every year. And it is reversible. So, I don't know if you have it, but do you know, if you could get this, the caliper inches that you're removing? Have you studied that?
We have that
Just
analysis.
identify yourself for the record.
Sure, Greg Tizzolo, Stimson Landscape Architects. Yes, we have that data. It was not submitted as part of the package. but
And so,
analysis. Yes.
right now, you're it's significant because you're taking out some very mature trees, I assume. But if we could do a study and figure out how to replace those, I'd say at a higher ratio than what you're removing. And either on campus or in town. So either if you put them on campus, that would be acceptable, or put them along, Barlow, Round Hill, which are starting to look pretty, neglected. The town streets surrounding the campus could look a lot better. So if we can figure out possibly a way to basically replace those caliper inches that you're removing at a higher ratio than 1-to-1 around the perimeter of the campus, maybe approaches to the campus, so it benefits not only the campus, but the town. That would be, I would see that as a good compensation for cutting down it's probably one of the last mature copses of trees on the campus. So that's just
Yeah, I mean, we obviously have a 210 acre campus. So on the one level, we have good opportunity to do mitigative planting of the kind you're talking about. On the other thought that, Commissioner, you're raising as far as, I'll use the word off-site planting. I don't know whether we'd have to involve the tree warden in that. I mean, would the intention be that the plantings on the perimeter would be on our property, or would they be out in the town right away? That's
usually, but like Benson, the trees are looking pretty neglected.
on our campus, or
I guess it's on the right of way, but it's on the perimeter of the campus. Benson is looking like it needs some attention.
we'd be
Benson,
happy.
Barlow, Round Hill, any of the approaches from town, would benefit the campus, it would benefit the town. But we're just asking for a replace. I'm just suggesting a replacement.
We'd be very comfortable with a condition of approval somewhat along the lines of what would say that, that we would provide to staff a plan, a mitigative plan that would combine replication of lost trees, both in terms of places where we think it would very much benefit the campus environmental environment, and also in the areas you're referring to along the perimeters of especially North Benson Road.
Perimeter approach.
And I think you'd have to include in the condition of approval, working in conjunction with the tree ward.
We've had.
Yeah, which we've done before, I think.
And just general, is there an accepted replacement ratio? It's usually greater than 1, isn't it? Typically. You don't know.
I find it different in every community that I work in.
It's usually 1 or greater, correct? It's different. Okay, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'd ask for greater than 1 because this is a significant project and the cost of trees is not material to the overall project. So
Again, a condition of approval along those lines would be something that, I can state for the record, we'd be very happy to work with your staff and the tree warden.
thank you. That would be great. Questions? Commissioner Braun?
So I'm getting back to my stormwater system testing. In the stormwater report, it says the designed infiltration rate for the underground infiltration system is 4 inches per hour. The value is based on historical data of infiltration rates taken from other recently completed projects on campus. This will be confirmed with on-site testing prior to construction. So again, what testing has been done? And could you just point out where those tests are done? Because your system depends on the type of soil and their capacity to handle the stormwater that comes out of the bottom of the infiltration galleries.
Yes, again, Brian Phillips with Langen Engineering. We have conducted about about a dozen borings and test pits throughout the site, just outside the area of the system. These were done, prior to the design of the system, so we did not perform that infiltration test. But I will say that the town engineering does require we submit a signed and sealed infiltration test from a professional engineer. So I will be out there on site conducting this test in the area of the system at the proposed elevation. I'll have to provide that report signed and sealed to engineering before their final sign off.
And where do you have something showing where the borings were done that you have done?
So the borings were conducted within the footprint of the area. They're primarily intended to help the structural engineer with their design of foundation system. But there was a boring on the very southeast corner of the proposed building footprint, just above where we're showing the system, and groundwater was not encountered. In
Is
fact,
that
we did not,
shown on one
we
of
did not
the plans?
encounter groundwater in any of the borings or test pits
How
that we.
far down did you go?
We went down in some cases, in excess of 12 feet, and groundwater was not encountered in any of the borings or test pits conducted.
And where were the borings? Could you show them on the plans in relation to the infiltration systems?
Yeah, the borings were conducted pretty much all across the limits of the building footprint. So, just if we're looking at the infiltration system, essentially, just above it to the left.
Could you show that plan so I can look at
Yeah,
that?
if we go up, I think it's the first plan. Yep, that one right there. So the box on the bottom right is the infiltration system, and the borings were done, all around the limits of the building footprint, but we did include some borings in that lower right corner. So there's sort of a circle there which denotes a soil, a stockpile area. So there is a boring included in that location that did not encounter groundwater.
Are you
to it.
saying all those little circles, those tiny circles connected by a line are borings that you did?
No, this plan does not show the borings. We don't have that plan in the presentation, but all of the borings and test pits were performed within essentially, roughly the building footprint. So, essentially across the entire site.
And so this is at the lower level. Would that indicate groundwater could be higher at the lower level than the higher level? Because that's where it drains towards, or no?
There's probably about 5 or 6 borings which are down at that lower elevation, very similar to the elevation of the system. So we did not encounter groundwater in any of those tests.
And so if you went down, so it would be nice if you could provide us with that, so we have it. But the distance between the groundwater you didn't encounter it, but the borings went down, you said exactly 12 feet?
In some cases in excess of 12 feet. The system that we're talking about here is a 5-foot depth concrete system. So it's only about 5 feet in depth.
Okay.
And we did not encounter any groundwater. And I'll say again that we are required by engineering to go out there and dig a hole and do a test that needs to be signed and sealed by a professional engineer. So
Before we get a building permit.
correct. So before we get the building permit, we will need to perform that test. We'll need to sign and seal it, and it will be provided to engineering for their
That's good to
review.
know. And the infiltration, the distance between the bottom of the infiltration system and the groundwater depth, how much distance do you normally provide?
It varies on site. Again, we didn't encounter any groundwater, but typically, it's around 2 to 3 feet or so. But in some cases it can be less.
So it seems as though if the bottom of your infiltrator galleries goes down 5 feet below grade, is that what you're saying?
Approximately, yes.
And the groundwater is below 12 feet below grade, then that seems like it would be adequate. That's good to know. And I support what Commissioner Randolph said. I believe there has to be a 1-to-1 replacement of trees that are being lost. By my calculation, you had 94 trees on site 94 total trees in the work area, of which 83 are being removed, leaving 11 that you're able to save. And you're adding 47 trees. Where are those trees going that you're adding? Just around the area, like just decorate, like little ornamental trees? They're not going to be obviously big trees, but yeah.
They're intended to grow into full-size
Okay.
shape.
They're not arborvitaes. They're like regular, what are they? What kind of trees are they?
They're on the planting plan.
Variety
Okay.
of natives, oaks and maples and the sort. We have I believe we have a list.
Yeah, there's a planting list there, Commissioner,
Okay.
that gives you calibers and species and things of that nature.
You'll end up with 58 trees if you take the 11 you save and the 47 you're adding. And that leaves you short of the original number of trees by 36. 94 original divided by minus 58 equals 36. So I would hope that you would plant 36 trees somewhere else. And then the second thing is your landscaping plan focusing on natives for the most part? I know in some instances you can't if it's very close, I don't know, to a walkway or something, but if, do you focus on natives with your planting plan?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great, thank you.
And as I said to Commissioner Randolph, or he said to me, and I concurred, in your work session, when you hopefully craft a condition of approval in terms of the tree mitigation, you know, he was thinking of maybe something a little more in terms of ratio than one, not to spend the university's money, but in fairness to you, that's what I said we'd look at and try to abide by.
I just wanted to clarify that. So something closer to the caliper edge replacement for any large trees, you know, you're the expert on this. I'm partially informed. So, but yes, thank you. All with, you know, just asking on the campus, in proximity to the campus to benefit ideally both the town and along the perimeter roads would be nice to see.
Any other questions? All right, that's right, Colin, you have.
Yeah, just very briefly. I mean, the one thing I want to mention too, that we're very proud of and committed to at Fairfield University, because it goes with the Jesuit tradition and sensitivity to environmental issues, is the project is contemplating a number of green technologies, including geothermal heating and cooling and solar panels. It will be our second LEED certified project. And we have established, as has established LEED Platinum as a goal. So we're very committed to that. And we do think that fits in with the whole purpose and theme of this facility, because again, it'll serve as an educational tool in terms of the public and the responsibility and future development, not only on our campus, but hopefully everywhere else. Again, this proposal is not about growth, it's about quality. We're trying to address the needs of our existing students. It's consistent with our razor sharp commitment to selectivity and growing prestige for our institution. We need this additional space to serve our existing students in the engineering, general sciences, and computer sciences field. And it's going to be a striking, thanks to Centerbrook and the rest of the team, a striking addition to our campus that speaks well of innovation and academic commitment. And we hope you will support it. Thank you.
Very fun. I would love, this is not required, because that's above and beyond, but I would love to see the checklist, the LEED Platinum checklist at some point, because you don't see too many LEED Platinum buildings, so.
We'll submit that to Ms. Harrigan and she can distribute that to you.
Thank you. Commissioner Monahan.
First, it'd be the first one in town, I'm sure.
I can't speak to that, but I'm not familiar if there are other ones, so. Yeah.
Where would the geothermal wells be if if it's gonna be a geothermal building, where would the wells be?
I believe they're currently proposed to the southwest of the building.
So away from the infiltrators up toward the
Correct.
wells?
Yes. In the flattest area possible,
I was looking at the site and I was like, where?
the flattest area possible. Yeah, right, kind of just south of the exhibition hall at the end of the building.
Good. All right, we'll close the initial presentation and go to public comment. If there's anyone joining, we'll start with folks in the room, but if there's anyone joining remotely who wishes to be heard on this item, please sign in and chat and indicate you would like to speak. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak on this item? Joining remotely? Anyone joining us?
I see a hand up from someone named Brenda.
Yes, we got that. Thank you, Commissioner.
Not responding.
It indicated you as co-host. Ms. Coutinho, if you are You should be able to speak now if you're ready.
Please.
Evening.
I can't figure it out, sorry.
Can hear you. We did hear you. Don't hear you now.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I was talking to my dear husband. Hi, everybody. All right, it's Brenda Catugno. I live at 305 Barlow Road. I'd really like to thank the commissioners for remembering the plight of our situation regarding the field and the stormwater issue. So thank you very much for keeping that in your minds and being aware of it. We really appreciate it. I think it's a lovely looking building. That's just a nice comment, but I keep just an overall question, maybe it's a few questions, but I keep hearing about the university running out of building space. So where do they currently stand? How much will this building occupy? And how much space will be left to build something else?
I will let Attorney Fallon can address those in the rebuttal if he'd like. So I'm sure he made note of those questions.
Thank you.
You.
That's it.
Anyone else joining us who wants to speak? Okay,
There's-
we'll close public.
I'm sorry.
We'll close public comment and go back to Attorney Fallon.
Yeah, just briefly, rather than taking it, the zoning grid is on the survey that's submitted. And it gives the current, the breakdown of what our current coverage is, what our FAR is. The bottom line is, you know, we have not run out of space. We're obviously mindful of, you know, our plans, future plans for growth, but, you know, we know what the regulations are. And at some point in time, you know, the university, if the university needs to do something different, you know, we would come back. But right now, we are compliant with your coverage and FAR requirements for our 210 acre campus.
Any other
No,
final remarks?
that's really all I have. And I thank you for your attention. And could we have a moment of personal privilege before we start the second item?
Thank you. Yes, we'll close the public hearing on that item and
2 minutes. I like leaving to another.
yeah, we'll take a brief recess before we start the next item.
Hello. You can do that all now.
And
All
we're
right,
still
we're back.
recording.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We are back from our brief recess. We'll continue with our next public hearing, also on 1073 North Benson Road. This is for a special exception application request for Fairfield University for a food truck plaza and enclosed dining area in a residence R3 zone. And back to you, Attorney Fallon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, members of the public. For the record, John Fallon, I'm here representing Fairfield University. As the call said, we're seeking a special exception in order to construct an outdoor dining pavilion, which you will see in a moment and it will be discussed. Interesting background here, and it's laid out in the statement of use. In 2017, the university brought its first food truck to the campus with a temporary tent across from Loyola and Campion Hall. And that's sort of where the food trucks have been ever since. When COVID hit, obviously we took what was then a small pilot program and saw that it offered the students a lot of convenience, variety, freshly prepared meals, et cetera, et cetera. And we expanded the food truck area to 5 food trucks. It's with and we then put up a tent which had some seasonal heating in it. The students loved it and they love it still. Indeed, a good 15% of the meal plan usage on our campus is via the food trucks. And it's not surprising because, as I said, it offers them variety. The trucks change over on a daily basis. Some will cater to the morning and the brunch crowd, others in the evening. But it's really become a very fundamental part of campus living for our students. And it's been ongoing now for almost 6 years. 6 years, and we've never had a complaint by anyone. And we're proud of that. So what we bring to you tonight is an opportunity to do something that we think is good for our students, good for the aesthetics of the campus, good for the general area. And that is to create, as you'll see in a minute, an overall plan to make more structured, more organized, and more aesthetically pleasing this, what has become a very, very important part of our campus living and dining experience. The other thing that this does, and we found out, which is, I think, beneficial to the neighborhood in general, is by having such a successful food truck operation, it has a very positive impact on traffic because it reduces the number of students going off campus to pick up food and get food. It reduces the number of Uber and other delivery systems. So it has a positive impact in terms of a reduction in traffic, which we've very much noted. What we will see, what it does do is it will, like I said, improve and organize an amenity that we've been running successfully for 6 years. We're going to keep the food trucks capped at 5. You'll see in the site plan, there's stations, if you will, for 5 food trucks. So there's not going to be any expansion of this use. It's simply going to allow us to more thoughtfully design a space for operation of this important aspect of our campus. So what we want to do tonight is obviously give you the overview with regard to that. And that will include, again, a gentleman well known to you, Mr. Brian Phillips, who's also doing double duty tonight from Langen Engineering. And he'll review with you the existing and proposed conditions and our drainage design to facilitate this upgrading of the food court area. Then I'm going to have John Holden from Newman Architects, who are the architects on this proposal, give you an overview of the pavilion. So,
Thank you.
Brian.
Again, Brian Phillips, professional engineer with Langen Engineering in New Haven, Connecticut, 555 Longworth Drive. If we could potentially zoom into that aerial, I think it would be good just to orient everyone to the project location. This project is proposed in an existing sort of paved area where, you know, the food trucks are currently occupying the space. It is, again, relatively central in campus, between Lessing Field to the northeast, Loyola Hall to the southeast, and sort of the main quad, and along McCormick Road. To our closest property line, essentially to the northwest of our project location, we are approximately 900 feet to the closest property line. If we scroll up to the existing conditions page, so these plans have been rotated slightly. So north is to the top. There's the north arrow on the right. So we've just slightly rotated it to fit on the plan here, but the existing site is just to the east of McCormick Road. It's an existing sort of paved area. There's some portions of gravel area, and the space is currently, the majority of it is occupied by those food trucks and a tent structure, a sort of informal food truck area. There are some, existing drainage and other utilities that crisscross the site, which I can explain in more detail a little bit later. If we scroll down to the site plan, a little one page up.
Just where the area was.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Right here. And I'll invite my colleague, Joe Vini, landscape architect with Langen as well, to help, explain, some of the improvements and site features that we've included in the plan. But the goal here is to maintain McCormick Road, maintain the adjacent existing parking lots just outside the sort of existing informal food truck area. And the goal here is to, create a more defined space with a perimeter fence, which will house a pavilion structure, which John from Newman Architects will talk about in a little more detail later in the project, as well as a concrete plaza area for the students to congregate, get their food truck, get the food, and enjoy it. A pretty major upgrade from the current condition. So I'll invite Joe to speak in a little more detail to the site plan and some of the features that we've included in the project.
Thanks, Brian. And for the record, my name is Joe Vini. I'm the project landscape architect, also with Langen 555 Long Wharf Drive in New Haven, Connecticut. So the exterior plaza is roughly 12,000 square feet, primarily consists of standard colored concrete. And you see in the center, there is a design and abstraction of stag antler that extends to each of the proposed locations for where trucks may end up parking. Around the perimeter, the patio will be enclosed by an 8-foot high steel picket fence and intermittently spaced. And at the corners within that fence are brick piers. And those piers will be designed to match the architecture of the building, so it all reads as one cohesive design. Page left, there are 2 gates. So there's one 18-foot wide gate in that top left corner. That's for vehicular traffic in and out. And then there is also a gate lower down for pedestrians, so a single swing gate. On page right, there is a 10-foot wide gate, and that is intended to serve as the primary entrance for students entering and exiting the patio area. In the northeast corner is the stair leading up to Lessing Field, and integrated with that stair is also a tiered seating, and that's intended for an area for students to be able to congregate before they may be going to the field or to classes. And then going off of the site a little bit, we're also providing a number of pedestrian enhancements and safety enhancements in terms of 2 crosswalks across McCormick Road, sidewalks leading to each of the entries, as well as realigned parking and new accessible spaces immediately adjacent to the primary entrance. Lastly, in the page northeast, but in southeast geographical corner, we're proposing a new dumpster enclosure. So there are dumpsters out there today, but we're improving that existing condition with this new enclosure in that space. I'll talk a little bit about landscape. There is a slide later on the page, but while I'm speaking to it, we do have shade tree proposed adjacent to the new parking spaces. And we are also proposing planting beds around the perimeter of the exterior space adjacent to the fences. And the pattern and the rhythm of those trees will align with the piers, and we'll also propose a variety of native understory plantings. With that, I'll turn it over to Brian to talk drainage and utilities. Thank you.
So, yes, Brian Phillips with Langen. If we continue on to the next page, I believe we have the grading and drainage plan. Again, we are meeting the requirements of Fairfield Engineering, as well as the Connecticut State DEP guidelines for stormwater management. And, this relatively small area of campus all flows into catch basins, which then discharge into the existing campus stormwater network. Everything from this area is captured in those catch basins and flows to the south, eventually discharging into that same, wetland system of detention ponds, which eventually go down to the southeastern portion of campus, the North Benson Road, Barlow Road intersection. I'll note not towards the Barlow Field, Barlow Road, Round Hill Road watershed. So this water is being directed in that southeasterly direction. I didn't have the exact number. But it's well in excess of 3,000 feet, as we go down the watershed. Similar, we are providing an underground detention system. This is a slightly different system. And it is, well, it's similar, but it's a plastic chamber, an arch chamber. I will note that I was on site. We did have access to a excavator and we were doing some test pits for this project. And I was on site a couple weeks ago. I did perform a percolation test, which realized infiltration rates of approximately 12 inches per hour. Our stormwater report used 4 inches per hour as sort of a campus, historical rate, but that was confirmed with the testing that I performed a couple of weeks ago, which we will prepare, sign and seal, and send to engineering as required. We also dug down after the test was performed, dug down an additional 4 or 5 feet, did not encounter any groundwater. The site grades within the project are all less than 2% in any direction. So the plaza is fully ADA accessible and the pathways leading to it are ADA accessible as well. There is a small, it's not really a retaining wall, but it's retaining a very small bit of earth between the plaza area and the Lessingfield track to the north or to the east. So this is Page North. And that wall was designed to house some of the utility connections and improvements that I'll talk about on the next page if we scroll down. So we are providing full utilities for these food trucks in addition to the 3 permanent food trucks on the right-hand side. We're also providing electric, water hookups, telecom hookups, and a sanitary hookup so that these food trucks can discharge their grease waste into a dedicated, receptacle, which then is directed towards a grease trap. So we are providing, improved utility connections for all the food trucks proposed. On the next page is the erosion and sediment control plan. In this portion of campus, it's very developed. We have a fairly straightforward plan here of inlet protection and construction entrances, obviously protections around any soil stockpiles. And then on the next page is the planting plan, and I'll hand it back over to Joe.
Yeah, so just a few images of the trees that are proposed. So the honey locust is within the parking lot itself, and then the green giant arborvitae within the limits of the patio space. And you can see the understory plantings that will also be incorporated within the planting beds around the perimeter of the patio. If we go to the next page. Hand it over to John Holden.
John Holden is our architect from Newman Architects, and he's going to give you a brief overview relative to the architectural design.
Thank you. So looking specifically at the building, the pavilion itself is a single open room, symmetrical in plan. There are doorways to the page left, page right, and top of the page that open up to the back to the plaza. And you'll see there's a bathroom core and utilities that are clustered at the perimeter. That's the lower left and lower right hand corners of the building. The the elevations, you'll see a pitched roof. The materials are a variegated light beige brick, which is kind of consistent with campus architecture. And we have a dark standing seam roof and some awnings over the windows.
We have a rendering too, right, John?
Yes, and then the last page, I was told to be brief, so I'm trying to condense it for you all. As a rendering of the exterior, so this was kind of from inside the plaza, looking back towards the pavilion. And you'll see the brick facade, the standing seam roof, and then an interior image as well. So a pretty simple building, that mostly trying to kind of formalize and create a space that students can use and congregate. Also, it will only be for providing only heating, so not cooling. So the cooling will be passive via fans and overhead doors that open up to allow kind of passive ventilation.
You were brief.
That's it.
Thanks,
Yes,
John.
yeah.
I appreciate it. That's really it. I mean, what we have is, we've basically had a 6-year trial run here with these food trucks at this very location. We've never had a complaint of any kind. We're not looking to expand it. We would keep to the same 5 trucks, as you can see from the plan we submitted. The same volume of use. All we're gonna do is create, we think, an enclosed, attractive, aesthetically pleasing, more functional structure to replace the trucks just sitting out there now with a tent. And in addition, a side benefit of all this is not only is it designed to kind of meet what's become a very important part of the students' enjoyment of the campus, but we are going to reduce traffic. As I said before, you won't have students coming and going, and you won't have as many Uber and Uber Eats and other things coming and going. So we're very excited about it. We think it's a natural progression to something that's been very successful for us. And we hope you will favorably consider it. Thank you.
Attorney Fallon, Commissioner Randolph. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I didn't give enough praise to the previous project. I thought that project was excellent, and this is a really nice follow-on, thoughtful, addresses a need. I just have a couple of very specific questions. So on the utility plan, CU 101, one of the things I discussed with Director Harrigan earlier with this sort of situation is power. So you won't be running any generators. Is there power provided? I don't see it on the plan here. I see.
That's correct. Yeah, there are no generators or
Okay, excellent.
there's power.
Okay, perfect. And then on the 101, I think that it's clever, the staghorns, that's a clever design. But is it all asphalt and that's a colored asphalt, or is it
So no asphalt, it's actually colored concrete. So there's an additive that goes into the concrete itself, which changes it into a pigmented different
the
color.
whole thing's the area that's not in the antlers, that's asphalt? I'm sorry, that's concrete as well?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because it was a little unclear on the drawing. So the whole thing is paved.
All thick, yes.
Okay. And lastly, and this is really for Mr. Fallon, there's this really nice restaurant in the other part of town called JP's.
Mm-hmm.
You ever been there?
No.
Oh, you never been to JP's?
Where's JP's?
It's on the campus of Sacred Heart.
Oh, right. I never go there.
So it's
And they don't come here.
it's a really nice restaurant that has public access. Best smash burgers in town, public access. Is this, I know that for a dining facility, it's always a little bit, but will this have public access? Because like JP's, they can do it up there, you know,
I defer
a little bit of rivalry here.
For the record, I'm David Frassinelli, Vice President for Facilities, Campus and Auxiliary Services. The operations there will be both meal plan operations, but also cash operations, so that if someone from the public wants to walk in and buy lunch, great.
Yeah.
And we anticipate, for example, that could happen during athletic events. Somebody comes to see a soccer game or a football game or a baseball game, avail themselves of our food court.
Yeah, I think it's a great amenity. It's a great solution. Takes traffic off the road, enhances the student experience, and you also, like other projects we've seen before, you're replacing a temporary facility with something that's more durable and you guys have all been very thoughtful.
And safety too, actually, because we took steps, as was said by Brian, to being, we've improved crosswalks on McCormick, and so that'll be an enhancement too.
Oh, and it's a great location too.
It's wonderful, right in the center thing.
Commissioner Monahan.
And I love the permanence of it because it's a little ad hoc now with the different kind of trucks that come in, and I think the layout is excellent. I've never seen anything like it. Is this one of a kind of design? I've never seen a food truck
We're just trying to keep up with JP's,
like this, where there's dedicated food trucks tied in, et cetera. I think there'll probably be a rush for it. But I'm mostly concerned, and again, I'm not a parking lot fanatic, but that parking lot services the soccer fields, the field hockey fields, the baseball fields, the tennis courts, the kids on the basketball court, et cetera. How many spots are you going into? And from a safety perspective and utilizing that lot going in and going out, it's a little kind of tricky. Have there been?
Yeah, I mean, we're
design of
really,
that?
because we're going to be building this enhancement on the same sort of footprint where the trucks have been, and we don't anticipate, number one, losing any spaces because it's going to kind of mirror the courtyard area.
I was looking at this drawing, which it shows it kind of eating into the parking spots. So that's with my question.
I think those are now, right, David? Do you want to I think those are.
So again, David Frassinelli from the university. The current parking that has been displaced a long time ago by the current operation and the current tent. It's important to note that the current operation does have blocks, colloquially we refer to them as mafia blocks, but concrete blocks so people can't drive into where the students are. So there is no net additional parking loss associated.
Great, because it's already tight.
It can be a little deceptive when you look at a contract limit line on a drawing that looks like it extends further, but that's just a architectural convention. It doesn't mean that that area, truly the area being occupied is within the wrought iron fence and the arborvitaes that will surround this.
Great. Thank you.
Other questions, comments, Commissioner Capote?
I was just curious how the food trucks, some of them rotate. How do restaurants, is there a lottery system?
So the food trucks that operate in there is best described as a hybrid. There are some trucks that we own and operate through our food service Aramark. There are some trucks that we provide the truck and different operators come in and operate them. And then there are trucks and operators that are completely independent that come in. All of the trucks and the comings and goings is managed by our outsourced food service company, Aramark. Essentially they decide who can come in. We've worked with operators such as Food Fleet, but we are typically open. It is modular in nature. So if one food truck is not popular, they're gone and a new one comes in. We do rotate. So certain trucks will be in Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Others will swap in and out. So we keep the variety good.
Yeah, because there are more and more restaurants in the area that have food trucks that I've seen park in various locations. So people, restaurants could have the opportunity to sort of cycle in.
It's as John noted, immensely popular.
Yeah, great.
So.
Commissioner Levy?
Yeah, what days of the week and what hours would you anticipate?
The weeks and hours.
So one of the things that we've noticed is any of our operations, whether it's the Dunkin' Donuts, the Starbucks, the food trucks, I would say 90% plus of their business is meal swipes. So we have the ability to control by how often we accept meal swipes. There is a very limited small breakfast activity, and of course lunch is busy and dinner is busy. We have a lot of interest and requests from students for late night dining. So we have currently operated out there up till 10 p.m. We've experimented with another truck elsewhere on campus that we've kept open some late hours, but we anticipate maintaining the same hours we've maintained with the, current food truck fleet,
And is that 7 days a week or?
7 days a week.
Commissioner Braun, I don't see you on screen, so I can't see if you're raising your hand.
Yeah. So the horn shape, that's basically the pathway, the paved pathway between the pavilion and the 5 food trucks?
No, it's a design element really, and it does sort of identify the 5 locations if you follow it. But as Brian said, it's all concrete and with a shaded pigment, if you will, so it'll give it that design element. But it's all concrete.
And the trees you're adding are between the branches of that design element?
So
How
if
many trees are you adding again?
we can scroll down a few pages.
And it would be nice to do something other. I've heard different versions of whether arborvitaes are native or not, but I know they provide good screening, but is there any other type of tree that's more native-ish that could be added instead of arborvitaes, or are they needed?
First,
because
Where are
screening?
the trees proposed? And then you can address the arborvitae.
Yeah, so the trees are around the perimeter. If you zoom in a little bit, you'll see them adjacent to the fence, or whoever's operating you just put the cursor over the top. If there's an alternate species desired, it's certainly something that we can review internally. Arborvitae, green giant are hybridized species. So if that's a request, we'll consider it.
And how many trucks are there now? They're not 5 trucks now, there's 3 or so?
Oh, 5.
Oh, there are 5.
There's
Okay.
been 5 since 2021, really. Yes.
So you're not expanding the usage. You don't expect people to be driving to get there?
No, I mean, we don't expect any change in the patterns of uses. It's just a nicer aesthetic and functional improvement for the food truck area that's existed for 5 or 6 years.
And how many tables are inside versus outside? Approximately, like. It looks like you have a big interior portion as well, but also exterior. And the exterior obviously would only be not all seasons, I guess.
Yeah. The internal pavilion area, I'm told by our university representatives, is going to encompass approximately 65 seats. And as I said, it will be heated, so it can be used, somewhat more than seasonally. It will not be air conditioned, however, it'll be an open air environment. But to answer your question, approximately 65 seats in there. I mean, with some leeway in terms of how the operator may want to, set it up to meet certain demands at certain times, but 65 would be the optimal or the.
This is a pavilion. There's no food prep or anything like that. There's just
No.
waste disposal and restrooms, pretty much, right?
That was all covered with the health department, and their code comments are also part of your record. And yeah, no, it's not. There's no food prep there.
And getting to the perk test, yeah, it's interesting that they did perk tests on this one, which is already in a developed area, but they didn't do perk tests on the other one we heard an hour ago. And this one, they have a different rate of infiltration than they did on the other one. So why, do you know why they did perk tests here when they didn't do it on the other application?
The man who can answer, Mr. Phillips.
Yes, Brian Phillips with Langen Engineering. We were conducting test pits in the area to try to locate some utilities. So I took the opportunity to perform this test pit, which I know will be required by engineering. So it was just circumstance that we had the excavator available in this location. We were able to conduct the test.
And your stormwater system now, how does that change the one that's already there? There is no system there now because it's just a parking lot?
That's correct.
So are you adding impervious surface at all?
We are modestly adding impervious, but the same analysis was performed existing to proposed with the associated curve numbers. And again, we're reducing for all storms up to and including the 100-year storm event.
And is there any possibility of doing, I know it's concrete walkways, of doing semi-pervious walkways or something to aid with, you know, infiltration at the surface level? I just think Fairfield University, you know, we've never turned anything down from Fairfield U, and they're just paving everything over, it seems like. Is there any possibility of doing something that's got semi-pervious pavement or something like that?
Well, the existing site is very much impervious. It's pretty much all impervious, and then there's some areas of gravel, which is, you know, pretty close to impervious. So we are providing this underground detention system to capture the water and allow it time to infiltrate into the, you know, pretty good sandy soils that we've seen around campus. You know, there are some maintenance and aesthetic issues associated with some of the permeable concrete surfaces. So we're looking for, you know, an ADA accessible sort of, you know, consistent look. But we are meeting all of those requirements, and, you know, really the proposed underground detention system has been designed to promote infiltration. And with the rates that I realized out there on site a couple of weeks ago, we're anticipating that a lot of this water will infiltrate down into the ground in that sandy soil layer.
Two brief follow-up comments, again, not to be argumentative, but Fairfield University has made for over a decade a big commitment to pervious pavement. And it's done that voluntarily and in conjunction with the engineering department and this commission going all the way back to, I remember Laura Pooley. And that's a big commitment on the university's part, because pervious pavement does require, you know, maintenance if it's going to fulfill its functional role. But we are always been committed to pervious pavement. But on this specific location, for matters of safety and aesthetics, we don't think this is a good site for pervious pavement. And we think that as long as we can attenuate any drainage considerations, as Brian just said, and put the concrete down, that's a safer and more efficient alternative for everyone, taking into consideration this specific use.
Do they even have pervious pavement that's handicapped accessible? Does that exist?
You mean on campus?
Well, anyway, do they, this is like a technological question. Do they, is there such a thing as pervious pavement or semi-pervious pavement that,
Yes.
permeable pavement that is handicapped accessible?
Yes, it does exist.
It's not like the cobblestone kind that has grass growing through it, obviously.
Correct. Yeah.
Anything else, Commissioner?
Yeah.
Okay,
I have one last
go
question.
ahead, Commissioner.
How are you gonna plow this?
So
How are we gonna plow?
Once again, David Frassinelli.
I'm just looking at the fence and the wall. I'm just wondering, we had a terrible
I'm trying to
winter last year.
All the exact number. I think we have about 10 miles of sidewalks that we clear in every snowstorm. The last major snowstorm, we had 90 individuals holding shovels, shoveling. So we can go in there with some smaller machines that are brush operated. Of course, there'll be tables, so we have to work around that, but quite frankly, we will hand shovel it much the same way we've done the existing operation.
Okay, that it for your initial presentation?
That's it, thank you.
Okay, we'll close the initial presentation and go to public comment. If anyone wants to be heard on this item, come on up. And while this gentleman's coming up, if you're joining remotely and wish to be heard on this item, please sign in the chat and indicate you'd like to speak.
Do you want me to go ahead and,
Can I sit here?
if you could sit at the table?
Okay, sure.
Do you want me to go ahead and hand these out now?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Could you pull this one up? Or one that shows us.
Did you give one?
Over here?
Yes, please. Did you give one to Attorney Fallon?
I did.
Yes, I did.
Yes, he did.
Good evening. My name is Gene McLaughlin. I live at 11 Deer Run, which is on the corner of College Park Drive. It's the subdivision that is immediately north of the university. I've asked the staff here to pull up where I am. You look at what's on the screen there. You've got the yellow area which is going to be the construction area, inside of which this, I'm calling it a restaurant because that's what I think it is. And you see a softball field up on the left side there. Thank you. And then beyond that is, you know, a kind of a treat area, and then that's College Park Drive. So, you know, fairly close to where this restaurant is going to be. I am reminded when I look at this of a statement by the poet Robert Frost that good fences make good neighbors. And I think that this project definitely needs fences. I think there's trespass issues. And when I say trespass, you're familiar with that term of trespass lighting, trespass noise, things like that. I think there's definitely an issue that the noise impacts from this will be detrimental and will be contrary to the town's noise ordinance. I think it'll be in collision with the town's noise ordinance and will create a lot of problems. The area where you see the softball field is where the women's softball team plays. And that area has some speakers. I don't know if they're supposed to be there or not. But from my property, I can clearly hear the warm-up of the teams. And two things about that. Some people say, well, you don't like the noise because you're too old. You know, you don't like the music. The other thing is my wife says I'm half deaf. So definitely the noise from the softball field now is probably violating the noise ordinance. But it would be ridiculous for me to call the police and say, will you please come and arrest the women's softball team because they're making too much noise. My point is that we don't need any more noise or this kind of development in this particular part of the campus that will affect our neighborhood. So what I would propose as the fence or the stone wall, whatever, for this project would be that the dining pavilion should be closed at 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. The proposal by the university is they want to keep it open till 10 o'clock, 7 days a week. They've also made some representations that for special events, they want to go even later. I'd also request that it be closed at 10 p.m. on Friday through Saturday. The next point, and that would be the first condition. The next point would be that the university has indicated that they're going to put speakers outside this building. I would request that as a condition, there be no speakers at all outside of this building. We already have speaker noise from the softball field. There's been no part of this application that has addressed abatement of noise or control of noise, just that they're going to put willy-nilly speakers on the outside of the building. The third condition that I would request is that there be no live entertainment. As I said before, this is essentially a restaurant. It may be denied as a restaurant, but basically it is a restaurant. The kitchen, it's just the only difference is that the kitchens are in trucks outside. So we have a potential here for a lot of activity, being a big hangout, a lot of noise, and it's something that we want to put a lid on if we can. So in order to give you some kind of substantial evidence for these conditions, I've given you some materials. First, I'd like to go to is the noise ordinance itself, which you're probably somewhat familiar with. I'll read the preamble, which is the legislative intent. That loud, excessive, and unreasonable noise is an interference with a person's right to the use and enjoyment of his or her property, especially in residential areas. So the noise ordinance that we have in the town is addressed to both residential and commercial areas. It has a limit where it starts to shift into really quieter times at about 10 o'clock. I think that should be more stringent in this case, for this residential area to be closed at 9 o'clock for the Sunday through Thursday. The other thing that is important here is that the way this ordinance is phrased is that any sound produced by sound production device that can be detected by a person at the property line. Now that's the speakers will definitely affect that, in my view. That's a very stringent standard. I can see this particular restaurant, dining pavilion, whatever you want to call it, as constantly running into problems with the noise ordinance, having a lot of complaints from the neighbors and producing really an impassable situation. The next thing I would like to give you in terms of the materials that I passed out are the zoning regulations, the subdivision regulations for the town of Westport. And they have special provisions in 32-20 for special requirements for outdoor eating areas. Now, as was perhaps indicated in the application, this particular use with the trucks, the food trucks, kind of popped up around the COVID time. And that's also when Planning and Zoning Commission started to get involved with trying to put a limit or a lid on these things, because once you get an outdoor seating, you have no containment for the noise that's in the restaurant. You have a lot of problems with any noise that's even generated not only by speakers, but by entertainment or just general bustle in the restaurant area is not contained. It's in a tent, like that. So what they did in Westport was that they limited in these what they call pop-up food establishments, which are usually an adjunct to a restaurant in a commercial zone, that the hours of operation would be limited from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sundays through Thursdays. And that coincides with the condition that I've asked this commission to put on. It would be the same as the Westport condition. And then they do allow the closing time to be 10 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. If you look, also, I've highlighted this in the materials. There'll be no music in any outdoor eating area after 9 p.m. So Westport, I consider a sophisticated Planning and Zoning Commission and municipalities, community has recognized that this is an issue, controlling this kind of development near residential areas. And they have said that there'd be no music after 9 o'clock. And I think that's significant. The next thing that I'd like to go into is the Greenwich materials, their municipal code subdivision regulations, use groups for business zones. And again, these are restrictions that are being put on in commercial zones. We're in the middle of a residential zone here, where the only way it can be put into use is by a special exception that should have a lot of protections for the residential property. So for the Greenwich facilities of this type, they say that public address systems or other systems intended to convey music or verbal messages through amplification is prohibited in the outdoor dining areas. So I think between those three, I think they are support for the conditions that they be closed, the pavilion be closed at 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, at 10 p.m. Friday through Saturday. There'd be no speakers outside of the building and no live entertainment. Now, just to follow up on some comments that have been made by the commission, which I thought were very insightful. Something like this can also be very attractive to become a general attraction for traffic outside the university students. Great place to get a burger over at Sacred Heart. Probably a great place to get a burger here. But we don't need extra traffic coming through the campus in this particular area. There is a gate. If you could pull up the get his attention.
You want the
Anyways,
aerial again?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
There is a gate at the, off of Round Hill Road. And that can provide access. A lot of times the university is closing it. And, you know, we don't need, traffic coming through there to go to a restaurant in this campus. All right. So those are the comments that I had about the conditions that I would request be put on. Another thing I would like to discuss and would have been addressed by my neighbor, Bob Rogers, he was called out. I was sitting here for a while. He was called out by an emergency. The effect on this is also going to be an effect on parking. And I know this is something that Bob has tried to get a handle on, but has not been successful in getting it. If you look at the yellow area that's in the aerial photo, that shows a big chunk being taken out of that parking lot. Now, as Mr. Frasnelli has pointed out, that is a construction area. It is not the entire area that's going to be occupied by this pavilion. But that whole area where you see the parking in that area was supposed to be temporary parking. But instead of being temporary, it seems to have grown and grown. Undoubtedly, just looking at this area, you're seeing that there's some parking is going to be lost. And at the area where you go in somewhat from the northwestern yellow line, that's going to be the area where supposedly there's going to be some kind of screen, the giant arborvitaes or whatever screening is there. So this area is, they say it's not going to take any parking. It looks to me like at best it's going to pinch it. I don't know how the temporary parking is going to disappear because it's becoming essential. So this is an area where I think the university really, when they're doing something like this, it has this many impacts. I think they have to address parking. How are they going to address parking and people come in, want to use the facility for a restaurant? So anyways, those are my comments. Be glad to take any questions that you have. Sure.
Hang on. We don't ask questions when folks give comment.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to ask his personal experience with in the 6 years leading up to this.
I know, but
I think it's important for the record.
We don't ask
I do
questions.
think it's important for the record in this
I
case.
understand. We don't.
Well, yeah, I'll say this. I don't want to cause.
Hang on.
Okay.
We don't, I thank you for your comments, but we don't ask questions when.
I would like for him to be able to clarify. Can I ask if he submitted all these supporting information into the record?
Yes.
Like, do we have all of this, or is this just being provided now?
He submitted it, Commissioner Braun, so in paper copies, so it'll be part of the record.
What if, it might be nice if
Oh,
you could.
sorry,
email
I'm
us
sorry.
when
I apologize, Fred. You don't have those, so it's
Noise ordinance,
noise ordinance.
Westport's.
It's Westport's zoning regulations
And
related
drainage.
to,
Drainage.
and drainages related to outdoor food uses.
Mr. Chair, we'll go ahead and scan those in and they'll be in the.
Honestly, it would be nice if you could email them, because when they get scanned, you lose hyperlinks, you lose color, you lose a lot of, resolution. Is there any possibility we could ask this gentleman to email it and then we'd have it for next time?
We're able to.
Did you scan it here, your staff, or not?
But it'll be scanned, but
I prefer it emailed, because then I can have the original.
we could ask, we can't force him to email.
Well, put it this way, if he emails it after we close the hearing, will we be able to have that?
It's part of the record, so if it's emailed, that won't be an issue.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Anyone joining remotely?
There is someone else who wants to speak?
Brenda. Who's on? The other one, let's see.
Yes, Ms. Catugno, did you want to speak again on this item?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It's just a quick question. In the past, I think that there were fewer trucks and now there's going to be a set 5, but then there was mention of another one somewhere around the campus. And in the past, there was a bright red food truck parked in an elevated parking lot in front of our homes for an entire winter season. It was unused and looked like a giant billboard. So if there are other trucks around the campus, how can we be sure that a truck won't be parked in front of our homes again?
Well, hang on, we'll come back to you in a second. Okay, and was that your only question, Ms. Catugno?
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak? That one remotely.
I can
Maybe we'll close public comment and go to Attorney Fallon for rebuttal.
First of all, to address Ms. Udo's question, we did become aware that the truck was there. She made us aware of the fact that she didn't like the truck there. We understood that. We moved it. We didn't put it back. Let me say, I mean, no disrespect to Mr. McLaughlin, who I've known for many years. And I mean, no disrespect to his right to have his point of view on any topic, including this one. But I think it's important that we put in context or keep in context what I think the commission knows. First of all, zoning, I guess, isn't a plebiscite, but I would point out, and your record would indicate, we gave notice of this application to 86 residents in our entire perimeter, including all of Carlitz Park. And as I say, with no disrespect to Mr. McLaughlin's right to come to this public forum and speak, one person showed up to speak in opposition. I think that says something. What it says is particularly dramatic here in the context of the fact that what want to continue to do in an albeit nicer, more efficient, safer setting, we've been doing for 5 years. And we've never received a complaint from anyone, including Mr. McLaughlin. I'm very familiar with the Westport regulation. Not to pat myself on the back, but representing some restaurateurs, I had a hand in writing it. If you look at section 5, it says it pertains to outdoor, section 32, it says it pertains to outdoor eating areas as defined in section 5. And if you look at section 5, it says an outdoor eating area is accessory to a tavern or retail food establishment. That's a very different thing than what we're doing here on this campus in terms of this food truck village. Could you put up the, okay. Again, with no disrespect intended, if you look, we took a aerial and we graphed from the location of the food truck village to Mr. McLaughlin's house. And it is, my eyes are not good, 1,086 square feet. So it's not proximate. There are far more people who are more proximate than him here. And yet he voices the only objection, as is his right. We're not looking to do anything here different than what we've been doing for 6 years. Fairfield University was founded in 1942. Mr. McLaughlin bought his house in 1991, okay? Records would indicate, based upon current Google and what have you, that when he bought it, he paid $354,000 for it, and the town says it's now worth $1,200,000. That's great, but it says something about what kind of neighbor Fairfield University is. And what makes me a little animated here, to be quite honest with you, is I've never worked with a client who is more sensitive. They have a whole department in their public relations office that is focused on doing nothing more than maintaining neighbor contact, making neighbors aware of what we want to do before we ever come to you. And I think it has paid dividends. I think you've seen that when you see rooms like this. So it's upsetting to me to come in here and say that what we've been doing for 5 years for our students is all of a sudden a restaurant, okay? Now, I don't know where the speakers came from, but we aren't gonna do any speakers. As far as music, we can do music on our campus anytime, any place we want, and we do. We put music in the quadrangle and certain spring things. We have alumni events, we have outdoor music. Are we gonna turn this into a music venue? No, we're not. We haven't done it for 5 years and we have no worth prospect for doing it. But we resist a condition that says you can't have music. As far as the hours of operation, you know, Mr. Frasinelli's testimony speaks for itself. We're gonna maintain the same pattern of operation that we have to meet the needs of the students. At the same time, we'd like to have the flexibility that we've maintained without complaint for 5 years so that we can meet those needs. Does that mean we're gonna be running the food trucks at 2 a.m? No, but we'd like not to have, and we think it would be an imbalance of the equities here, to have us hamstrung from an operation we're conducting now only because we want to improve it aesthetically and functionally because one person objects. So I don't know what more I can say. I always quote the airplane analogy that people buy their house next to an airport and then complain about the home noise. But I don't mean to be unkind. What I want to return to is the positive. The positive is that we found something here over the last 5 years that are very important to our students, that's a nice amenity to our campus and to the visitors who come on our campus. And all we're trying to do is improve it with the same kind of aesthetic sensitivity that we bring to every single thing we do on this campus. And that's all we're looking to do. And we hope that you will agree that overall, our track record here with no complaints, the fact that no neighbors object except one, dictates that, this be approved. It's a good benefit for everybody, and we will continue to be sensitive to all of our neighbors, including Mr. McLaughlin and anyone else, because that's the way we want to operate. It's in our interest to do it. It's the right thing to do, and that's what we try to do all the time. That's all I got.
Commissioner Braun?
I have a question. What is the acreage of this area that you're now designating for the pavilion and the trucks?
The food, I'd have to defer to,
It's
half an acre?
less than an acre.
Slightly greater than.
But because Tinker was, yeah.
It's under an acre, probably somewhere between a half and 3/4 of an acre.
So I guess my thought is going to the airport analogy. Yeah, people do buy near an airport, and then the airport starts bringing jets in and, bigger planes, and is an order of magnitude worse than it was to begin with. So it's kind of like a similar thing here, I guess.
Well, I don't think it is. Respectfully, I don't think it is because we're not introducing any new runways here. We've been here for 5 years parking these planes, and we're only looking to put a fence around them.
Okay. I guess the thing is, if you build it, they will come. You now will have a pavilion that's heated, that's, that could be a venue to serve food, till 2. I don't know how late they serve food now, but probably not till 2 a.m.
We have a tent that's heated now.
Pardon me?
We've had a tent that's heated for 5 years. We've never had a complaint.
But how late do the food trucks serve food? I mean,
Mr. Frasinelli answered that. Generally till around 10 o'clock. Because that's what the demand is.
Would you be amenable to a limit of 9?
No.
9 or 10 on the weekends? You want, so how late do you envision this being open?
As our pattern, as Mr. Frasinelli testified to before, basically it's usually to around 10 p.m. Look, if the commission wants to take what the university is trying to do here in terms of both the aesthetic and functional aspects of it, and you want to start, and you have every right to do it, Commissioner Braun, but you're gotta close at 10, you can't have any music, do it. Side with the one neighbor who's here, who has objection. But it strikes me that that's not a very fair balance of your discretion.
Right, I'm just exploring possibilities to see
Okay,
if
I
that
respect that.
hurts what it is you're doing, you know? I think
Nothing more than
this
we've
will
been doing.
probably, well, I think having the structure alone is very attractive, by the way. I think it's a great idea. But it will bring in more people, I would think, and it could, you know, bring up the possibility of festivals or, I don't know, concerts or something like that, because you have an eating and restroom establishment that's permanent. So to me, it could bring a whole lot more people and a lot more noise. So that, and just
You know, the other
envisioning
thing I
how
would-
that could be handled, you know, so it doesn't disturb all the neighbors that live on College Park.
I can only say what I've said. I don't, we're not planning on changing anything but the functional efficiency and aesthetics of what's been very successful. You know, the kids are coming now, you know, it's not a matter of build it and they will come. The kids are coming now. They've been coming for 5 years. One of the reasons that we're willing to make the investment on this is because it has become such a focal, an important aspect of our campus life.
Right. When you have a food truck, that's different than when you have a structure where people can hang around and, you know, congregate, things like that. That's all.
We have a tent.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner Capozzi.
So just to clarify, the university has maintained these 5 food trucks, same scope
Correct.
for more than 5 years.
Correct.
How many complaints has the university received in the 5 years?
No, not one.
Okay, so currently there's a tent which arguably has the potential to broadcast a lot more noise when it's occupied than a structure with fixed walls and insulation. Is that correct?
And the tent, yes, and the tent is heated, so it has use during the colder months.
Right. So in terms of the scope, really, you're replacing a tent with a building that has fixed walls, which could potentially insulate sound more than the tent does currently.
And happens to be quite beautiful, I think. I mean, a big aesthetic improvement to the campus, so yes.
And we're not increasing the size. There's not going to be a 6th or a 7th food truck. So it's basically just making permanent what is a temporary structure and providing arguably more noise insulation because of the permanence.
Correct.
Okay.
Commissioner Monahan.
I also think it's important to try to keep the students back on campus also at night, especially during exam time. And also cutting down the number of cars coming in, you could argue, are far less than the number of trucks that would be coming in for delivery. But also that back gate is usually closed. That gate is not usually open, so I don't think you're encouraging through traffic. And there is a restaurant already on campus, right? There's a pizza place.
There is the levee.
That's not hip hop happening and loud.
There's the levee, and that's, and you know, again, I'm not trying to beat on Mr. McLaughlin, I swear I'm not, but you know, yes, that gate is closed. And that gate has been closed for 20 years. And the reason that gate has been closed is because we made a deal with Mr. McLaughlin and some of his neighbors.
Oh.
Okay? And we've lived up to that deal at some inconvenience, but we lived up to that deal.
I have a question.
We could close public.
I just have a question about your procedures. Do I get a rebuttal?
No.
All right. Then can I ask you, through you, Mr. Chairman, to ask Mr. Fallon a question?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
we close the
I
public.
know that's your procedure, but I'm telling you that I'm not pleased with the way the comments have come. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Any other comments from the commission?
Um,
Commissioner, go ahead.
Can you, are any of the screening tree, I know arborvitaes are very good for screening, even though I don't really consider them native or that attractive, but are any of them like in the direction of where the houses are is it possible to add more in that direction? I don't know if it's possible based on the layout with the parking lot and everything.
They are currently in
Name for the record.
direction. They're in all directions outwards.
For the record.
For the record.
For the record, this is Joe Vini with Langen, and the arborvitae are on the north, west, and south faces.
So is it possible to add more arborvitaes to add more screening? Is there room for that?
Again, for what purpose?
Well, to help with the screening of the noise, et
So that
cetera.
somebody 1,000 feet away?
Well, I mean, if it can be done,
with
why not?
binoculars? I don't see that. But the
Is it-
commission has the discretion to do anything it seems appropriate.
No, I'm just asking landscape architect or if it's possible to add more of them to add to the screening.
Anything's possible, yes. Yes.
Sure, Levy.
And since you now have to plant 36 more trees to make up for the other application, maybe you could put some of them here. LOL.
If memory serves, many years back, Judge Skolnick, if he may rest in peace, spent some time on the decks out on College Place. Was that just lighting, sound, or if you know, wasn't there some court case way back when?
It was a case that involved what is now the, it's the, what's the field called now?
University field.
University Field. And when University Field, this goes back about 15 years ago, maybe 20. Lights were placed there without review by this commission. And a lot of neighbors from College Park took an appeal, an injunctive action, and the lights were removed. And we've conformed to that ever since.
But it had nothing to do with sound or anything at that time.
Well, there was a provision in the agreement that we made with the neighbors that field would not have a sound system, I recollect.
Thank you.
And we've abided by that as well, obviously.
Good. Okay.
Thank you very much.
We'll close, the public hearing on this item. It is now 9:50. The next item I really would have liked to get to is section 7, Commerce Drive Area Design District Standards. The lengthy document. And really the biggest issue here is the use table, which is merging 3 districts which had uses that were allowed uses were different from one to the next. And so we need to essentially merge those. It's going to take some time to go through those. We don't have time to do it now, unfortunately. My request would be to the commission to look through the use table and make note of any uses. Staff has recommended how to merge those uses and make note of any uses that you object to. And I think just it would make for a more efficient discussion when we actually have to go through this. And I think probably a lot of these will be pretty straightforward and we can get through them quickly, and then we can have some time to talk about the uses where there may be some disagreement. Commissioner Braun.
Logistical question. The last time we met, it was unclear if this was an actual red line of a black line. In other words, a red line of exactly what it was worded like before. It looked as though there might have been some substantive changes, minor though they might be. Can we just, and then I read one of the members of the public letter that seemed to indicate there was an update to that, but I didn't see it when I downloaded it all today. Can we just get from Ms. Harrigan whether we have, I know it's really hard to consolidate 3 regulations into one, but can we confirm that we have a black line that has been redlined? In other words, the black ink is exactly what the 3 regulations said originally with no substantive changes, and the red lines are changes, or the red, because I see a red line version, but I think it's the same one we looked at last time, which seemed to have some substantive changes, just so we understand what we're looking at.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, can you just clarify what the documents that we have is?
Yeah, the date, yeah.
Yeah, the document that we provided was done by our consultant, and it really was just combining the design industrial district underlay, the design commercial district underlay, and then the Commerce Drive overlay with the transit-oriented development park overlay. And then also looking at the design industrial transit commercial park overlay and trying to add all of those things into one regulation so that we only have a Commerce Drive district. It was not intended to revise any of those standards and requirements. with the exception of the language that is required for mixed-use development for the site plan review per the state law.
So it's not this text, forget putting the use table aside, the text is not a red line of something pre-existing because it's a new district.
Well, the Commerce Drive district, the Commerce Drive area district exists.
You
There's
merge.
just, it's gonna be merged together with the underlays and the overlays.
And what about the CMDA as part of that?
CMDA is a designation that is not really a zone per se. It's just a designated district. It's not incorporated into our zoning regulations differently than the zones are today.
Will it be on the map when we have, no? Is there a reason?
Because it's not related to our zoning. It's just related to participation in a state program. So it's not a zoning district.
But the CMDA, we were told, exactly relates to what one of these three districts is, and I think it's the transit.
It's the commerce. So we were granted participation with CMDA for the Commerce Drive area district. As complicated as it is with underlays and overlays and TOD overlays. And so all we're trying to do is simplify the language of Commerce Drive so that there's no longer underlays and overlays. It's just one district.
The Commerce Drive area design district, was that created in recent years? Because is that already a compilation of the footprint of all three areas or what? I'm trying to understand the footprint.
That, it's already a district on our zoning map. So if you were to open the zoning map on our, via our website today, the Commerce Drive area was defined by the Commerce Drive area plan that was done way back when the train station was opened. Right before the train station was opened, there was a plan that was done by the Regional Plan Association, who provided funding to do a planning exercise. And at that point, the Commerce Drive area was created back in 2009, and I think it was adopted in 2009. That was then incorporated into the update of the POCD that was done in 2016. And then it was referenced in the TOD plan that was completed in 2019. But it has been an area that's been incorporated as part of our zoning regulations since that time. And I can get you the exact date. I don't have the index with me today, but.
Hang on, Commissioner Brown, let me just get Commissioner Randall's.
Okay.
So just to be clear, because I've discussed this with you and Mr. Mullen. This is an aggregation of existing ordinances other than the use table, correct? And it looks like 7.4.10 also incorporates the setbacks from our currently adopted standards for commercial for design districts. 7.4.10, it's at the setback section is an update as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's in addition to the combination of districts, it's it includes the setback. So this is not changing anything in substance. It's consolidating districts. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, other than the use table, which
currently has certain uses are allowed in some districts.
Right.
And not allowed in others, so
Right.
we would have to make some decisions.
So that's
from
the
process.
focus is really on on table 7. And just to also clarify another point that has sown some confusion. The document titled New Commerce Drive Regs Red Line Revisions is a red line of the current document. Is that correct?
That's correct, but I'll double check it before our next meeting.
Yeah, but that is you're almost certain that's a red line. So there was some concern that we didn't have a red line document online. There is a copy that says red line version, which reflects a consolidation of existing regulations. The only substantive changes is 7.2.
We date these? So that
Yes.
we know when these documents come out that there's a date on them?
It's in a folder.
I know,
That says May 1st, I think.
It's not just
Print
the
it out or
population
you
data.
send it to someone or whatever, you don't know what you're really looking at. How old is it? When it's changed? Is there a more recent red line?
Sorry, so the regulations for Commerce Drive Design District were adopted in 2011, May of 2011.
But the red line that was filed is dated May 1st, 2026. That's still the same red line we're working from, right? There's no one after that?
Yeah,
No.
I do agree. It would be helpful. Let's just make sure, just to avoid confusion, let's just date these.
Yep.
Just so.
And
everyone-
also, just for a matter of like, a matter of how we do things, but there's no reason I see to clean up the red line. We should just know the red line and not clean it up until we're done with what we want to do, But I have another question. So the narrative is one thing in terms of, we have 3 regulations that are being consolidated to one. Great idea. Before we come next time, could you just identify all the 3 regulations? We have so many new members on the commission. It might be helpful, so we can go back to the original, regulations and, compare if we want to, so we understand what they were and what they're gonna be.
Sure.
And the thing is, I'm looking at maps and I see a change in the district, which I don't remember adopting. Because I'm looking at the POCD map showing this district, and I'm also looking at a map that from 2024, 2023. There's a little section, like where it's bumped out into the C zone. Looks like it might be not New England Avenue. Looks like it might be like, Berwick, that area, like where the gas station is over there, Kings Highway. I can't tell, but that does not appear as part of this district on any prior map, but it's on the map that's at the town, that's on the town website now. So if you look at the DCD zone, which is red, and then this Commerce Drive area is sort of like a beige pinky color, it jumps over the DCD area into a C zone. And I don't know when that happened. Did we approve expanding the footprint of the Commerce Drive area into the C zone over there on the other side of the commercial area? It looks like that's like where Goodwill is, or, approaching Tunks's Hill and Holland Hill.
There is a portion, without looking at what you're looking at. If it's possible for you to screen print what you're looking at and email it to me so I can double check what it is that you're looking at.
Yeah, I will send that
It's
to
an
you.
area that does extend into like north of the highway.
Yeah,
And there's always been an area that extends north of the highway.
I don't recall adopting any extension of the Commerce Drive Transit District north of the highway. Did we do that at one point? Because it wasn't in the POCD map, and it wasn't in maps as recently as 2025.
We haven't
So-
changed the district, so it should be as it's always been.
It's colored in the map that's on the town hall website now. It's colored the same color as the Commerce Drive district, the overlay district. So that that's the only place I see it. None of it, and I download maps all the time, so it's not on any prior maps. I looked at something Attorney Green I did like a search on my computer, and Attorney Green submitted a map in 2024. It's not on that, and it's not on a map in the POCD that shows it, and it's not on a map I downloaded in 2023. So the most recent map is from 2025, and that's in the POCD, and it doesn't show that bump out north of there into a C zone. So I would like to understand the footprint better. I'll send it around what I have.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner. Okay,
We said we were gonna take the pictures out,
which pictures?
the images in the. We're gonna. None of our other
We haven't
regs.
even really gotten to this, is the issue. Okay, so we'll pick this up hopefully next time if the agenda allows us to get to it. So in the meantime, we will adjourn. Thanks, everyone.
I asked, on the sign, there's the billboard on Starbucks. That's now.
The one that's on.
Well, that Fairfield Community used to have at the post.
Recording stopped.
And I was gonna ask them while they were here, you know what that looks like? It used to be a place, it used to be right over from. And it was a.
By the,